Eons ago, during the age of the Magi, the world was something other. Magic is all that there was and all that was needed. Legend states that a cataclysmic event brought a great frozen age to the world of Lacrin, and soon after, a new era dawned. Though they say the ancient magics of the Magi still lie buried and lost, scattered around the world, lie in wait for those with the courage to wield it to discover. Welcome to the world of Lacrin and the continent of Thelmecia. Noble knights, roaming orcs, mischievous goblins, and idyllic wondrous lands, just waiting to be explored. Now, a new peril aspires to plunge Thelmecia into despair once more, but not before a few unheard-of heroes take their chance at triumph. Welcome to Tablestory, Darkfire.
Hello everyone, welcome to the beginning of the end, the very last episode of Tablestory's Darkfire.
Don't stop. That would be so sad.
I would be very sad.
If I was to take a guess, you're in a lot less danger this week than last week. But
Yes.
D&D is a crazy game, and who knows what could happen at the drop of a dice. You're in
6.
damn trouble.
Oh god. What was it?
It was a 2.
No, that's my lucky number. That's pretty dope.
Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome to the show, one and all.
Dude, everyone's commenting on Tiger's cam. Like, he's out of the dark.
Oh my god.
This looks awesome.
He looks
Yay.
awesome. I can't believe I can actually see him for once.
His beard hairs.
This
Look
is
at him.
crazy.
They're so clear.
This
Wow.
is crazy. Oh my god.
I want to go to his house
Oh
and hang
my
out with him.
god.
Can we
Is that really him?
I think one person did say it, and I just thought I'd comment on it. Look
Is that
how
what it
clear you
really
are,
looks
bud.
like?
Yes.
Damn, I like this, man.
I'm scared I'm going to show his name. I don't know if it's public.
It's not. It's not. He's never.
I know.
It's not like my last name's not public, but like
Okay. Well, there's a clue. There's a clue,
There's
and
a
I get
clue.
scared. There's a clue.
Dude, yeah, hey, look good,
On
man.
Z-
Everyone's
on
looking
Zoom.
good on the stream today.
On Zoom, there's a clue. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. How you doing, players?
I also showered today. I
You
guess
did a
that-
shower?
Dude, that's
Annual
your lucky.
shower?
I
Yay.
even washed my hair and my beard today.
Nice. Someone was in
So
my
dirty,
stream the
yeah.
other day talking about what your beard smells like, I think. I can't remember what the conversation was now, but we all had a long
Sarah?
conversation about...
Wait, about Tiger's beard?
Yeah.
Was it Sarah? John, I think your
I can't
mustache
remember
grows a
who it
couple
was.
inches every week, by the way.
It's honestly, I could flip it. I'm trimming it. This is the last time you'll see it like this, guys.
No, I always want to see it like that.
I need to trim it for TwitchCon. Need to look good, you know?
John's facial hair is thick like Steve Harvey's.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's so
It really
thick.
is. It's so intense.
It's crazy because sometimes he's like clean shaven and sometimes he has like a really thick beard. There's never really that in between
Save it
stage.
in a week and a half.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that in
Did
between
you say
stage.
you're gonna be clean shaven in a week and a half, Tiger?
Yep.
Fully?
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
You're cutting off the beard?
All of it.
Why?
No, you're not.
GTFO.
100%. Yeah. Nobody
Wait.
believes me, though.
Wait, someone said this the other day. Lamau. Are you kidding me? Lamau, dude.
There's no way that you're doing that.
Okay.
well, now he will. Now he really will. If you guys keep.
Are you doing it for charity or something?
No, I'm doing it 'cause I'm wearing a beard.
You're just doing it?
Just doing it.
Dude, you haven't done that in like 8 years, right?
Yeah, when was the last time you were clean shaven?
October 1st was 6 years ago when I started growing this. I mean,
Dude.
it's the shortest it's been in years. Like
I know it's been detracting slowly but surely, but I didn't think you were gonna get rid of it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm excited. What, are you doing anything with your hair different?
They're the most gullible motherfuckers I've ever
Oh
met.
god damn
Believe
it!
it or
I
not.
I knew it. I was fucking.
alive.
I knew
God
it
damn
was
it. Now you
coming.
have to
There's
do
no
it, bro.
fucking way.
Okay, so here's my thing. I would clean shave only during the wintertime if I was going to do it because so I took down like here. You can see my mole again for the first time in years. Like, see that right there?
Yeah, hey, mole.
So I took it down, right? And I was like, I did it during the summer, and I was like, little bit of tan, white as a ghost.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I shaved my off in the summertime, I'd be two-faced, but half and half.
That's
The
awesome.
problem is when you do, like, I've done it before where you shave a little too much and you get that winter chill where the wind hits the bottom of your chin and it is so alien as a feeling. You get that cold draft that hits your chin. You're like, what the fuck is that feeling? I don't know what that is. This has never been cold before.
I just hate eating. I hate eating anything with a beard.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
I hate this bit.
Everything is like
Pussy.
napkins, stack of napkins. Just sucks, man.
You just gotta learn how to eat with a beard. I've had a beard for 6 years now.
Well,
like a big
also,
beard.
I don't trim around you
That
can't
bit.
see my lip.
It's
Like
that
it
bit.
looks like things on my teeth.
That's the bit that sucks.
That's the
I
bit.
can't even
That's it.
when you drink
Trim
a drink and the water just runs up the beard.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
go.
learned-
It just
Or you gotta learn
Yeah.
to spread it. You gotta
I
spread
save it for like 3 hours later, and then I like lay down on my pillow, and I'm like, why am I wet? And I'm like, oh, that's from
no.
Spread it.
water.
All you have to do
No,
is
no,
spread it. You have to work on. You have to train it.
Look
to
how thick his lip is compared to your
For the
lip.
love of all
Yeah,
the
and you
foliage.
have to train it to spread. He can do the
Nah,
same thing, but you have to
nah.
train it.
I'm just gonna flip it up, man. That's it.
Yeah, twirl it up.
Please, for the love of all that's good and pure in the world, can we
I'm
move?
just gonna turn evil.
This is interesting.
PB, do you want to grow a beard?
Yes, I would love to. I feel like I really should after listening to you
I
guys.
feel like you should have a
I feel
beard
like I'm
next.
missing out.
I feel like your
Yeah.
character would really.
Well, let's maybe head to town and I can go undercover and then maybe I'll wear a
Wow.
beard.
Yeah, the
Oh.
beard. The beard. Alright.
through our
Well,
hanging out time.
I guess that's the end of Beard Hour, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Beard Hour. Send us pictures of your beard and tell us on a scale of 1 to 10 how difficult it is to eat and drink with that beard on Discord or on Twitter at @Tablestory
I will just talk shit to you the entire time.
or at Pumpkinberry because PB was so interested. She just wants beard pics now. This is my beard. It's like a 6. It's kind of hard to eat, yeah, but it's not like the worst. That's where I'm at.
She's a moderator on the Reddit
Yes,
that we
please.
have started for this.
She owns it. She loves.
Show
she
me your
loves
beard.
She owns it. That's even better.
She loves beard chat. What's your week been like, PB? Have you struggled to eat and drink in any way?
What? Oh, I was like, no, it's been good. I'm really excited for the show that I'm doing on this channel on Saturday, which you guys should all come and watch.
Yes,
go.
I was gonna get to that.
Yeah.
We
Well, I'm just-
have a little summit.
What? What?
A little something. PB is going to be GMing a show called Stygian Gate on Saturday here on Tablestory. It is at what time?
4 p.m.
4
EDT.
p.m. Eastern, and it stars who?
All of you guys.
All
Brad,
of us, John,
Whack,
Tiger.
Jay. No. Brad, Whack, and Jay, and Murgles. Mr. Giggles. Excuse
Mr.
me, I said the name wrong.
Giggles. Yes.
Mr. Giggles.
I kind of hope it says Mr. Giggles on the overlay, but I also then kind of
It-
don't.
It does so far.
Oh, okay. Well,
It does.
Yes. She'll forgive
Mr.
me.
Giggles, myself, Whack, and Jay will be playing ourselves in a show that is being run by PB. You've never run a show online before, right? You've GM'd stuff
Right.
before, but
Yes,
never
I've
run...
GM'd and I've GM'd horror before, so I'm really excited, but I've never done it for an audience.
Yes, it's a very short,
so
sort of 3-ish episode
Yes.
run of a system that I still don't know what it's called.
I'm not telling until
Okay.
the day of.
Yeah.
What?
And
This is so
it's crazy. We
mysterious.
don't know anything about it. It's
Are you guys
essentially-
excited to play in this?
Have you seen
Yeah.
the Discord? Have you seen the Discord?
Have you seen the Discord? It's crazy.
It's blowing the fuck up.
The
Yeah.
Stygian Gate Discord is insanity. I don't even know what it is. But I was
It's
also
because
told not to go in there
they're
because
solving the puzzles. There's puzzles
Yeah.
and clues and shit. So
I'm
go
pretty
in
sure our mods have just like given up on doing
They've just
sort of
left it.
modding for us. They've just
And
now
they're just-
devoted their time to that.
Stygian Gate is its own horror show on Discord.
Yeah.
So it's going to be our little Halloween treat since it's October.
Yay.
Spooky. So we'll see you then for Stygian Gate. That's on Saturday this week, which is the
Yes.
13th of
Get it.
October at 4 EDT. Write it down. I'll give you 3 seconds to write down. Good job, everybody. All right.
I'm proud
Let's
of you.
begin with
Not
D&D.
one person wrote that down. I
We
swear.
have another thing to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it later on because I think it's going to overblow their tiny, fragile little minds if we give them too many things to get excited about, you know? Today we're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition because it's the only thing I can run, and that's why we're playing it. I feel like I could run Stygian Gate at this point. You know, I know so much about it.
Yeah.
You know, but
You probably could.
but we're here for D&D. A little bit of Darkfire. This is episode 10. We're in double dig.
Oh,
Yay!
Double digs. Boys, big tens.
Big
wow.
episode for a
Is there
big
something-
day.
Yeah. So what do we get?
Big
for
episode.
We're crowning you.
Everyone gets
Right?
10 copper pieces. Put it in your
Ooh.
put it in your you found it.
We just made 25 gold, but 10 copper. That's what you give us on our
I
big
think, I
10.
think there's 1 silver, but you can put 10 copper. You've just in your travels you've found 10 copper each so far. You get copper every episode.
Coincidence.
None of
Dude,
us,
what
none of us even started with any money.
You,
we did.
you should have had money when you started.
Ten
Yeah.
gold, I
I
think.
did.
I didn't start with any money.
The way you probably didn't because your background was crazy amnesiac basically. So I think yours might what I did for background.
I got 25 gold and 10 copper now, so we're good.
Yeah, we didn't do standard background. We didn't do standard money in this. I just gave you just start with your background money. Instead of buying all your things, you just got your stuff. So we didn't do the purchasing thing. That's how we did it. Just because easygoing GM.
And just to make things clear for people, I don't think we're doing like drunk episodes every 10 episodes. That was like something we did in the past. For anyone who ever watched like Tiger and myself and Brad play.
No, you just get what is going to be a normal episode, like the most normal episode probably ever.
Yeah.
And then the town explodes again. Imagine that. So
Although Brad, you wouldn't be against me having a drink on one of these episodes, right?
you do whatever the fuck you want. You're a fully grown adult.
I'm almost 30.
You do whatever you want. Just don't get blackout and just start, you know.
Have I ever gotten blackout?
I don't know. I assume not, because you do it every stream, right? You do your drunk Fridays. And stuff.
Every stream.
Every week is what I meant. You have a
Once a
stream
week on
every
Fridays,
week. Yeah,
yes,
where you
fucked
go
up
crazy.
Fridays.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude.
Every stream you just fucking alcohol.
Every stream you're wasted, you idiot. How's that going?
So
Have another beer.
let's play some D&D. Last time.
Lime LaCroix?
Last
Yeah,
time,
dude. Cockroach intestines. Let's go, baby.
Last time, you
didn't hear about that?
guys were
What?
on. You were
Sorry,
in.
Brad wants to play.
I'm sorry. Wait, what? Cockroach intestines?
No, there's like some sort of like they're getting sued right now because LaCroix apparently has cockroach, not intestines, it's a cockroach like whatever is found in it, so it's not all natural. But that's just something they spray to like make sure that cockroaches don't. I don't know. It's a whole long story. Read the article.
Did Brad just get an entire red pepper?
Yep.
Is that an entire red pepper?
Entire red pepper.
That you just brought back, and I was like, what the
He's just gonna bite into a bell pepper. I'm sorry, Whack. I love you.
Bell peppers are delicious.
Shutting up.
We're going to play a game now.
I'm good. Good today.
What does that guy say? Last time
Yes, thank you.
on
Insecticides.
Tablestories, Darkfire. The gang were in the town of Drit. It was the first town they went to in episode 1, which exploded. It was hit by a big old nuclear bomb of purple fire. And they went away. They came back to the destruction. They discovered that most of the inhabitants of the town were killed or had died shortly after, and that they met a group there, a platoon of the Rose Guard army, with Captain. Is he a captain? I think he is. Yeah, Captain Stonesworn and his people. However, most of his people were out kind of tracking and searching for what happened and where the army that hit this town went. These guys spoke to him, some of the others. They were asked to help out because there was 2 carts about to leave town, go from this town Drit to the town of Green Hill. One of the carts had sort of provisions and some of the belongings of the people. The other one had some of the survivors in, and they were going to try and get out of town because this is now just a wasteland, and they were a little scared that whoever's going to attack is going to come back. Can you hear that? That's my dog. What are you doing?
Hello.
Can
Hello,
you stop?
Merlin.
He is so annoying today. I don't know what is wrong with him, but he's on one. You know when they're on one?
He just wants love. He just wants love, man.
Apparently he wants a carrier bag. Just leave it alone. Okay. Then these guys went to get some water just to help out. They went down to the river and discovered that the 2 page boys that went to go to get the water first had gone missing. They went back to town, told the captain, 2 of his men, and these guys headed out to find the boys. They found them in this sort of abandoned cave where this creature, this ghost, this poltergeist known as the Enfeared, and a sort of a legendary ghost in the area, was residing. The boys were in there. They looked dead. These guys engaged in combat. Most of them fled, either by magical fear means or out of actual fear means. Iridir, see him? See him? He won't leave me alone. Please stop. Did you catch him?
I've never seen him this active.
He's driving me crazy. The creature was terrifying. 3 of you ran away. Iridir, Rin, and 19 escaped the combat, while Drift and Captain Stonesworn, one of his fighters Mstride, and another fighter Terran continued to fight the creature. They defeated it by the skin of their teeth, and they went over to the boys. They said the boys looked dead, but they were seemingly alive. No one was really a medicine expert able to work it out, but they thought they might be alive and just looked dead and cold. They picked up the boys. They picked up Terran, who was injured, and they exited the cave. Did I miss anything? That was pretty much what happened.
I think you mentioned the fact that Drift pulled a hero, right?
Well, Drift kind of was the defining factor in the defeat of the creature. He got the final hit, the final blow, if that's what you mean.
It is. Drift managed to get himself a level up too.
Drift leveled up. So
Which I don't have yet though.
In terms of party level, technically, Drift is level 3 and the others are level 2. Because they didn't get experience. They did get inspiration points for good RP, because it's good RP when your characters play fuck this, I'm out. It's still good RP. Because, you know, that's non-meta bullshit.
What you do.
So let us continue from pretty much where we left
have the
off.
bodies, right? We have the bodies. We're carrying, me and Rin actually were carrying out the bodies.
Rin came in and picked up one of the boys with you.
Because I couldn't pick him up after that fight.
Mstride had the other one, and Captain Stonesworn had the body of Terran. They're not bodies, they're not dead bodies anyway, they're injured. Terran was injured, he got hit by the thing, his stomach is all messed up, and the boys like unconscious. So from where we picked up, you guys step out of that cave, that horrible cave, back out into that forest by the riverside, and you find yourselves face to face with Iridir, 19. You're outside the cave, I assume.
Yeah, I was hauling ass.
Yeah.
I definitely ran like as fast as I could. I got a natural 1 on my fear check. So,
Did you run away from the cave so you're not at the cave entrance? Okay.
I was running away from the cave.
I was curious as to where, precisely where you are. So you're not just stood outside, you're somewhere else.
I just ran as fast as I could away from the cave.
Okay.
All right, give me a d20.
Okay.
And 19?
I'm just right outside the cave for the most part.
20.
Nice.
Oh my god!
Cool. So, weirdly enough, I rolled a 20 as well.
Makes it, breaks it.
So you ran off during this combat. So Rin and Drift carrying the body. You step outside of the cave. It's still daytime. I think, if memory serves, it's a little after midday. So we'll say maybe like 1, 2 in the afternoon. The sun is shining, but you are sort of under a canopy of woods. It's not too thick, the woods. This is a kind of rocky, hilly area of the forest. You guys found there's a couple of little caves that look like around here. Maybe some bears live in it. The sun is up in the sky, nice and bright. You cover your eyes maybe as you step out, and your eyes adjust from the gloom of that cave. And behind you is Mstride, and then behind him is Captain Stonesworn. In front of you is 19, stood there leaning on a greatsword, presumably. And Iridir is nowhere to be seen right now. What do you guys do?
I guess we're carrying the boys out.
Yeah, I would just be like looking at the captain and just like, where do you want him?
The captain looks towards you, 19. As soon as he walks out. He points at a sort of area of grass and lays down the fighter Terran with the wounds in his stomach. He's kind of he lays him down. He points to the area nearby, and you guys can place the bodies of the boys there. And he looks over to you, 19, and says, "You are a cleric, did you not say? Perhaps you could help us."
Perhaps I could. Who's hurt the most?
I mean, probably the one who's bleeding, 19. The one who's moaning and screaming.
You can give me 2 medicine checks if you want, to look over Terran and look over the boys to try and work out like what's going on here.
Sure.
Oh,
Terran, boys. Terran is going to die. There's nothing you can do about it. His wounds are too bad. He's going. There's no way a small little skinny human fighter like this can survive. He looks like he's been stabbed with like a pitchfork through the stomach kind of thing, and then it's pulled back out. There's blood and gore. He's gripping onto it, and there's like thick blood pouring out over his fingers. He looks very pale. He's suffering some blood loss. For sure, there's no point in wasting spells on him. There's no point trying to patch him up. He will absolutely be dead soon. The boys look like they are simply unconscious. They look like they've been through something. You maybe don't give me an Arcana check. Let's see, just since you're doing checks. Okay, you understand a little about some of the magic that was used here. That super fucking scary magic that kind of gripped you guys as you were getting in. This creature, the Infeared, fed off of your fear. These boys were so scared, magically feared, that it caused them to go into a sort of catatonic state kind of thing. They also suffered just from being in and around this poltergeist some necrotic damage. They're still alive, they're stable, but basically they need some time to come out of this catatonic state. They would benefit, they've lost some HP, essentially. They would benefit from some first aid, but as it stands, just some rest, they'll be fine, they'll live.
Quick question, not to interrupt you, 19. Brad, how do I see them? Can I, not medicine check, not to help them, but like when I'm looking down at Terran, the one who got stabbed or whatever with the hand, what does it look like to me? Just a lot of blood? Like,
you probably have a horrible time looking at him because you've suffered a similar wound before.
Okay.
The creature had like these big claws that were essentially the same as a pitchfork kind of thing, and it is the same kind of wound. He's essentially taken a pitchfork through the stomach.
Okay.
He's alive and moving and speaking and stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like he's gonna die instantly at any point,
right?
But he doesn't look good at all.
Is it okay if I just bend down, not to help him or anything, but I just want to put some pressure on the wound because I've learned that?
Yeah.
Great.
I would also like to check his status and try to help.
Yeah, looking at him, he will die soon, for sure, but he's not unable to be cured. He's losing blood, his wounds are bad, but from your first sort of like, you get down as well, maybe applying some pressure to these puncture wounds, it doesn't seem like it's really hit anything vital. Like he probably would have already died, or he would have, he wouldn't be quite as conscious and awake kind of thing. It looks like he's taken like some pretty bad wounds and he's definitely bleeding out. And if you just left him, he would die. But mechanically, he's stable. He's still got HP. He needs to have sort of, without like surgery, like we don't have modern surgery here. Instead,
Right.
you have magic. But he's very easily curable with either a simple magic spell or stitches, and then just a lot of rest, depending on which means you go by. Magic obviously does a lot to just sew wounds back up and mend things. If you don't have that ability, then sewing him up, patching him up, and leaving him alone, he will eventually heal, as long as obviously your standard infections and things don't kick in. He's not on death's door, but he will die if you just left him, for sure.
Okay.
So that's what you guys see from looking at him. 19, you probably look at him and go, that's a write-off, and then look at the kids and study and study them more. For whatever reason, you believe that of him. Maybe it's because you're a Warforged, or you just didn't look at it right. But you understand pretty much everything that happened to these kids here. They for the most part, the three of them need to be stabilized, like as in put in a bed somewhere and left to rest and attended to for a few days. So, Drift and Rin are holding the wounds on Terran. He's just... The captain is looking at you guys to see if you guys can do anything, essentially.
He needs magical aid, and I don't have that. 19, can you help him?
The boys will live. Terran's bleeding too fast. It's looking good.
It's worth an attempt, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, can't you just try something?
I could, but I think it's first that I ask the captain what he would like to do.
The captain stares incredulously at you for a moment. I don't understand. What is it? You can't help him, or you can?
I can try to help him, but...
Then yes, try.
Wounds seem bad.
Well?
The boys can be stabilized. We just need to take them. They need rest. They're just weary. But him...
19, he can still hear you. Can you please just try?
You could try as well.
I don't have magics. He needs magic. I mean, I can sew him up, but he needs more than what I can give him.
As they're talking about this, Brad, what is he wearing?
Who?
He's bleeding all over.
Terran.
Terran, yeah.
He is, he has chainmail on, but the chainmail has been just destroyed in a couple of areas.
Is there anything under that chainmail? Like any type
under
of...
it, you can see that he was wearing something like a tunic
Like
or
cloth?
something. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's torn. For the most part, you're doing that thing like where you're holding a thing and like that horrible dark red
So
blood
with,
is, like,
with my
pushing
right
out.
hand, if you don't mind, can I try and gather a good portion of that cloth and tear it, and then use my left hand to keep the pressure on?
Oh
Trying to
God.
get it?
Give me a sleight of hand, just to not do any more damage to him. It's horrific. For some reason, Drift just starts pulling at the tunic underneath the
sorry.
chainmail.
No,
He's,
what
like,
are
pulling
you
it out.
doing?
Guys,
I'm trying to help him. No, trust me. This
and
is
then just
I can't help him if you kill him.
you tear off
No.
a piece, Drift. You have a piece.
great. Thank you.
Blood-soaked
19,
rag.
please do something. I'm trying, but what's
You need to
happening?
calm down. You're not the one bleeding from your gut.
You're right.
As he says that, I start pulling magical powers out of my little gem in my hip.
Mm-hmm.
If this doesn't work, Captain, I'm sorry. And I
understand.
just put my hand over top. I tell him, I'm like, move your hands. And then hopefully, if you move your hands,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they move their hands, and I put my hand over it, almost like I'm rubbing his belly like he's too full. And cast healing words on him. healing word on him.
All right, give me the
healing rubs.
Give me the healing rub.
Healing rubs. Healing belly rubs.
Give me the
Isn't
healing
that what
rub.
Reiki is?
No.
You know what Reiki is. There's some healing Reiki going on.
You do some Reiki on him, and it's good. You heal him for 7 points. So everybody standing around, you can see, like, for a moment, like the drift just does more damage than necessary for no reason anyone can understand. And then the huge Warforged hands appear above the wound, and this healing word goes off. What does this look like? Just light?
Basically, the first thing that's going to happen is that when he puts his hand by his hip to cast the healing word, he pulls energy and magic out of the gem. And when he does, his hand is full of light, and it's almost like if it's allowed, it kind of like almost seems like it sutures a little bit if you allow it. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not all of it because he's so hurt, but it sutures a good chunk of the wounds. And he looks down and he kind of grabs the Terran by the back of the head. Are you feeling any better?
So yeah, the wound for sure will close up. Like that blood that was coursing out will slow to the point where it's basically, you've actually done a lot of healing. This guy doesn't have a lot of HP, honestly. It closes the 3 huge puncture wounds. They're still raw and sore. There's like a hole there kind of thing, but they don't look as deep. This thing went through his body, so the wounds on his back would be the same, close it up, and any damage on the inside will have closed mostly as well. He is still in like a decent amount of pain, but he looks up at you and just he pushes your hand away and looks at the wound. He pulls the chainmail left and right to see the hole closed up, and he grabs your hand as you take it away, and he says, "Oh, thank you so much.
You
Thought I was going to
You're
die.
going to need a lot of rest. A lot.
I feel brand new. I feel brand new.
Not. Captain, you're going to need him to be rested. You know, what would be a good idea would be to have him rest with the page boys. He's better than them right now, at this point.
The captain is looking, and he taps you on the back. Clink, clink. Thank you very much. If not for you, all of you helping, well, we may not have found these boys, and we may not have defeated whatever the hell that was in there. Appreciate your help on behalf of
Welcome.
the Rose Guard army and on behalf of myself. And he steps over towards you, Drift, as well, and he grabs you like by the shoulders just because you're relatively small and he's quite large, especially in his armor, and he brings you in and says, "You, in particular, a warrior. We could use men like you, that's for sure. You should enlist."
Okay.
He says, "You certainly pack a punch for a young'un."
Thanks.
He says, "Come back to me when you've finished basic training. There's always a place for you on this platoon."
Will do, Captain. It's just super cliche. Super I'm so proud. I feel like I'm graduating from high school.
From behind him, you see M. Stride say, "You might look like a runt, but I'm gonna call you Cursebreaker. Drift Cursebreaker." And Stone Sworn turns to you and says, "Yes, Drift Cursebreaker. Suits you."
I've never had a last name. Drift Cursebreaker. Okay, yeah.
The captain turns back and says, "Okay, let's get these boys back to town. I left those carts practically unguarded. We should try and head back as fast as possible. Terran, can you walk?" he says. Yes, I think so, yes. Right.
I'll help him up, actually.
Yeah, he stands up. He looks like he's like flinching and not ready to deal with the pain, but by the time he stands up, he looks like he's kind of moving around and feels pretty steady. He keeps looking incredulously down at his stomach. The captain heads over and carefully picks up one of the boys. They're pretty big, like realistic. They're like 15, 16. They're not small. He's pretty big, and he carefully picks him up and brings him over the shoulder. M-Stride does the same thing. He's a big Zangief type, so he picks up the kid a lot easier. Puts him over one shoulder as well. And he says, right, so we'll head back to the river and follow it back to town. Anything else?
Wait, where's Iridir?
He looks left and right. Right. Where is Iridir? Sideswipe.
Yes. Yes.
Iridir. Do you know where you are? Iridir, give me a perception check.
I'm stopping. I'm looking around. An 11.
Sure. You so the area they were in was a little more hilly. It's like an area where the hills were coming up and the cave and stuff were available. You look around and you're back in that kind of thick forested area. Looking around, you don't recognize anything. You know, this isn't like an area that you know, but also you don't seem to immediately recognize anything that you may have passed on the way up here. You and Terran were kind of a little frightened and gripping to each other as you approached. Maybe you weren't taking into account a lot of the goings on around you, but you are, for all intents and purposes, a little lost right now. You sort of come to your senses, you look about, and it's just thick forest. You listen for a moment, you don't hear the others. You listen, you don't hear the river. What would you like to do?
I'm like hunched over with my hands on my knees, like breathing heavy. Oh my. I think I may be a little lost. Oh, bother. I would like to, I guess I'm gonna try and investigate my surroundings and just try to see if I can figure out where I came from.
Yeah. You can, if you're trying to retrack your own tracks kind of thing, you can give me a survival check. If you're investigating for something specific, then you can give me an investigation check. Are you looking for anything like really specific?
Uno minuto. I'm gonna look around and I'm gonna say, just kind of like under my breath, you know, I'm just kind of talking to myself that sort of like absent-minded way that you do sometimes. You know, nothing here ever really looks like the Faglen. So confusing. None of these trees have any special qualities. Nothing really stands out. How does anyone find their way here?
You say that in common?
Yeah, just kind of like quietly, like that sort of, well, I guess I'm fucked kind of way, you know, like.
From behind you, a voice answers you. It's a very small little voice, and it says,
Faglen? What do you know of the Faglen?
I don't jump with surprise, which is uncommon, and if anybody else saw me not get surprised, they would be surprised. And I just kind of sigh heavily. Hello? And I say this in I say this in Sylvan.
The creature responds in Sylvan. It says,
Oh, hello. Have you been to the Faglen? Neither here nor there?
Well, of course I have. You can come out. I won't hurt you.
around your head is like a tiny little flicker of light. It buzzes around you kind of like a fly, and you can hear a fly-like flicker.
I put my hand out like this.
The sprite lands on your hand. You feel it before you see it because it's invisible, but it lets its invisibility drop. And you see a very small female sprite. She's wearing like a little Tinkerbell kind of outfit, right? But it's kind of brown with a couple of very small little leaves that she might have found. She's got 4 wings that kind of flicker a few different colors before they rest behind her. You can see that she has a very small little bow on her back. But she doesn't seem to be reaching for it or anything. She's just kind of looking up at you. Her eyes are very large, and her hair is a bright blue and very short and spiky, kind of like those little gnomes that you could get as a kid, as a toy. She's looking at you and blinking and saying,
You don't look like you're from the Fey Glen.
Well, things are never as they appear, are they? It's nice to meet you. You can call me Iro.
Iro, my name is Christia.
and she puts out a hand like this.
Just put my finger out like that.
And she pokes it. She looks left, looks right, and says,
Are you lost as well?
I'm afraid so. I've taken a few wrong turns, it appears. There was some... Well, my friends were... I don't know. They were back somewhere, I think that way. We were engaged in a fierce battle.
Do you want to find them again?
Yes, I think I do.
Oh, God.
Well, if you want, we can go to the Fey Glen instead. I think I know the way.
I don't think that's a wonderful idea at the moment. It's very nice of you to offer. I appreciate it, but I think it wouldn't do either of us very well if we went there.
She takes off. The flicker of her wings, you see like little sparkles of magic or something flick off of them as she takes off, and she says,
Okay, I know where they are. Follow me.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind, Krista. It was Krista, right?
Yeah. Oh, Christy. Yeah, I'll give you a little. I'll write it down. She says,
Do you like stories?
I adore stories. Do you have any good ones?
Yes. Let me tell you the story of Plum Twist. Plum Twist defeated a lion single-handedly.
and she speeds off.
Okay. Yeah, I chase after her, and I start to like laugh under my breath as I do.
Right. So she's gonna try and find you guys.
What the hell is this?
So the rest of you, presumably by now, have started heading back towards the town. The captain says, well, we're going to take the boys back. Perhaps Iridir would have headed back to town as well, surely. I can't imagine he would have headed into this forest.
Can I look for any tracks?
Sure. Give me a
Just see it.
survival check.
Yeah, just see if I can maybe just before we leave from here. 15.
15
Rin
from you.
failed with a 4.
And a
Yep, I got a 4.
natural 1
Natural 1.
Yep.
from
No way. I'm oblivious.
Rin.
I don't even care.
Rin, you look around. Iridir is a half-elf. He seems quite at home for some reason in the forest, and it is very difficult to track him, unfortunately. There is no signs of where he went.
And like holds up one leaf. Nope, I have no idea.
Not care.
I tried.
Drift.
I try. Yeah.
Much in the same way as 19 was able to track the boys, you can see that there's a couple of broken twigs on some plants ahead, and then
Okay.
instead of kind of heading down and towards the river south, it looks like Iridir took just beelined out of this cave and took a right and headed kind of west, deeper into the forest. But you're able to see kind of pretty obviously where he went. He's just left a trail of destruction and fear in his blundering run through the forest.
I mean, it sort of looks like, yeah, I mean, he must have gone this way right here, right? You guys
Deeper
see
into
that?
the woods?
That's, I mean, there's no other real obvious tracks. I mean, he was scared out of his mind, right?
Sorry, my bad. Hit the button.
Or did that mess up everything?
Yeah. It did.
I'm tired. I'm 19 now. Mm.
We're all changing characters.
Everyone's changed characters.
Give us the cams.
It needs to be Whack,
Turn mine
PB.
off.
No, Whack. No. John.
Oh.
Oh,
All right, everyone turn your cameras off.
sorry.
Everyone turn your cameras off. Let's play a game. All right, John Sandman. No, John first. All right, John. Then Whack. Then Tiger. There, and then PB. Yay!
Yay! Did we all win?
What a great game.
Alright.
What a great game. No, Whack just is going to be suffering some serious penalties in the forest by himself.
That was awesome.
So, yeah, you can see where he went.
Great.
Really
Yeah.
obvious,
So I'm just gonna tell the team, like, I think he went this way. Captain, do you need us to go with you?
The captain shakes his head and says, no, if you wish to go after him, then you should. You can meet us back at town.
Guys, what do you think?
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's weird for him to go deeper into the wood, but.
Well,
You're a deer! Hero!
he seemed very scared. So he's a small man, an elf, whatever you call him, and I would assume
Actually, tall.
maybe. Do you think he went deeper, or do you think he turned around?
I mean, all I see is that's broken. Yeah. I mean, it looks like he just bulleted that way, but that's all. I mean,
Well, lead the way, Cursebreaker.
Yes. Why don't you show me your tracking skills, Cursebreaker?
yeah. Well, okay. All right, I will. Drift Cursebreaker here to show you where Iridir is.
Can
Captain.
I roll real quick something, Brad?
Yes. What
Can
do
I
you want?
roll but not tell the thing? Can I try to track him too? And just see how well John does if I do well?
Yeah. You can give me a survival check to check this.
Secret track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'm gonna.
Same.
Just
you see
think.
the same tracks as he
Okay.
does, pretty much. Very obviously, Iridir has run through the forest and fucking broken a bunch of twigs and leaves and branches and stuff. Carry on, John. Sorry.
Captain, it was great being of a service to you.
Of course, yes. You're more than welcome to join us. Obviously not on our duties, but the caravan will be leaving for Green Hill as soon as we're ready. You can travel with them if you'd like. And
Please wait for us, Captain. We'll find Iridir and then we'll join you.
it will be leaving before nightfall.
I'm sure we'll be there.
How long from now, would you say?
He shakes his head. I'm not sure, but we want to be on the road for sure before night falls in case anything comes back. Scavengers
No.
even.
Your page boys, they need rest,
Yes.
and lots of it.
Do you suggest that they travel with the convoy or stay with the clerics in town?
To be honest, I would leave them with the clerics. They're not suited to go anywhere.
Right. I will heed your counsel. Thank you, 19. Drift. Rin. Good luck in finding Iridir. We'll be in town, I'm sure.
Thank you,
Good
Captain.
luck, Captain.
I believe I just left boys with priests.
He He nods his head. There's no Christianity in this world. Don't worry. The you are muted, Whack.
He's okay with that.
The captain and Mstride and Terran head out with the page boys, and you guys can follow the tracks into the Witten Woods. So it's relatively easy for you guys to follow these tracks that were left by Iridir. He ran for a decent amount of time. The dice that I made him roll was like how far he went, plus how far I.
Oh my god!
Plus how far I was going to add to it in like chaos. So he ran really far.
20 miles.
It's not 20 miles. I didn't really put anything on it. It was just like, how far did he run? 20 amount. You know, like that's how it was, like not far or really far. I was basing it on like what you can see and hear as soon as you make your perception check was kind of where I was going with that. My DCs are weird. How I roll for games and stuff. I don't know if other DMs do this, but it's how I do it. I'm just like, roll a dice and I'll work out what that means. That'll translate to something. Elsewhere in the Witten Woods, lost or nay, we simply don't know. Iridir, you are tracking, or you're running. Probably the sprite looks like it can, it wouldn't really make much. It wouldn't be able to fly very fast, but it flies really fast. You're really struggling to keep up with it, and it's zipping around trees, and you'll lose track of it every so often, and jump through a bunch of foliage and round a tree, and then you'll catch a glint of a kind of sparkle of color zipping past another tree, and you'll run to keep up with it. You're probably having to sprint, probably not being very light-footed. You're just kind of doing everything in your power to keep up. This thing is faster than you are, but I would say you're probably quite adept at, being in and around forested areas. So I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you can keep up with its 40 feet of movement versus what I think is your 30 in general. Every so often, the sprite does look back to try and see you, but it's probably quite difficult for you to make out what it's doing. So it does stop, and every so often you'll run and lose it, and you'll see that she's sat on the edge of a tree kind of watching you, and then she'll fly off again. Eventually, give me a perception check actually. Let's see what's going on here. A5. You so eventually Christia stops, and when you catch up to kind of nearby where she is, she doesn't take off again. She sort of waits for you to approach. She's sat on a low branch on a tree, swinging her legs kind of, and then you look left, right, and then you see her, the light catches on her wings, and she waves at you from a branch.
Hello?
Hello. If you could be so kind as to just go a little bit slower. I'm not quite as fast as you.
Oh.
She says...
I'm quite big. Yes?
She says,
yes, well, you're fast, I suppose.
I've learned over the years to be rather adept at running away. I find it a good means of survival.
She nods enthusiastically and says,
You're friends?
Yes.
Oh.
And she just points at just what looks like a random section of thick forest. She says,
Through that way.
I kind of raise an eyebrow, and I'm curious of her intentions. I know that the small folk tend to be quite they tend to be very silly, and they enjoy pranks quite a bit. I think that I'm a little bit on guard in general. I'm trying to roll an insight check.
Yeah, you can give me a nature check as well if you want, just to see what you know about sprites. You can have advantage because you've spent time elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. It's an 11.
11. So your general knowledge of sprites is that they're usually good-hearted and good-natured. Some of them will fuck with you, but that's more the pixie community. They're they're a little crazy sometimes. Sprites are usually helpful. Give me an insight check on this particular sprite. Okay, Christia.
Ooh, that was still with advantage. That was an 8.
So it's an 8. Honestly, you're not really sure what this sprite is about. She appeared out of nowhere, didn't ask much about where and who your friends are, and just flew off and said, I know where they are, I'm going to fly. And then she stopped and pointed at just some thick foliage. You don't hear or see your friends, and she just said that through there. And like, you pretty much can only take it as you've seen it at this point. You don't really know the intent. She's looking at you wide-eyed and just real...
So I say to her, have you ever heard the other version of that story?
She cocks her head.
What?
Yes, the other version of that story. Plum Twist and the Lion. Have you heard the other version?
Oh, I didn't think there was another version.
Oh, I'm afraid you're in for a treat. You see, Plum Twist was obviously quite the little prankster. He enjoyed a good bit of fun. So, he had convinced the elves that, in fact, it was some sort of crazed lion. They believed him, and they set up all sorts of traps for an entire day. They prepared for an onslaught from some sort of wild beast, fortifying the nearby trees with traps and some sort of outpost. They went up into the trees, readied their bows, and waited and waited and waited and waited, and nothing happened. No lion arrived. But what did arrive was a mewling cat. You see, the cat made its way through the forest, meandered its way into the elven leader's home, and promptly fell asleep on its bed. You see, Plum Twist never met the lion. He met a very terrifying cat.
Give me a performance check.
Oh my god, please be good. Because it was good.
It's gonna be like 18.
It has to be.
You got
I'm
this.
gonna use my inspiration.
Okay.
Yes! You're not gonna...
13.
A 13.
I got a plus 6.
So, as you are telling the story, Christia kind of like gets more and more into it. She's kind of like listening, and then she's listening intently, and then she's flying. Her legs are kicking underneath her as her wings are going. She sort of floats upwards, and she's sort of getting closer and closer to you while you tell the story. As you get to the end, she says,
Just a cat.
Just a cat. But all of the elves could hear Plum Twist's maniacal laughter from the trees all around, because once again, he had fooled them.
the little sprite leans in a little closer and says,
But Plum Twist didn't fool you.
Well, you see, and I stick my hand out again. You know,
she
just kind of
floats
make a
in and
little
lands on
resting
it, and
place.
she's just listening to you like wide-eyed.
I say, you see, maybe this time Plum Twist didn't fool me, but I've met Plum Twist before.
Oh.
He has fooled me many a time.
The sprite kind of...
You've met him?
Of course.
Where?
Well, where is a bit difficult to say. But I will say that have been to the Faglen before, and you might be lucky enough to find him there one day.
She looks left and looks right and says,
I think I know the way to the Faglen.
Well, maybe after you help me find my friends, you could take a trip there. Perhaps I'll see you there sometime.
She lifts up off of your hand and floats a little way back, and she points at the same direction that she said before, and she says,
They're through there.
I will say it has been quite the pleasure to meet you, Christia. And I take a little I take a hair out from my head, and I tie like a little knot with it, and I say, if you're ever interested in speaking again in the future and you have the means, maybe you can use this.
She takes the hair and she wraps it around her stomach and ties it into a knot like a belt and says, yes. And she flies in towards your chest and touches your chest. There's a sparkle of kind of pixie dust, kind of Tinkerbell style, as she hits it. And she hits you on the center of your chest and says,
You deep down, you're good-hearted. But one of those has a dark heart. You should be careful of your friends and who you choose to be friends with.
and she flies off. 2 seconds later, Drift bursts through the foliage, followed by 19, who's kind of nodding his head as if, you know, like, hey, Drift successfully did track where you are. And then
can I be sitting on a rock just like playing the lute?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Like you have like 2 seconds, you sit down, bring it out, and just like from us behind the scenes, it's like a chaotic thing where you bring it out and you just start playing it. For them, they burst through this kind of like underbrush, and then you're there in a perfect glade with a shaft of light shining on you. There's an extra sort of glow and like a rim glow, an outer glow
Shake
to
my hair out.
Yeah, there's some like pixie dust that kind of comes off of his hair, and he's playing this really wonderful song. Iridia looks very relaxed and fine. He doesn't look injured or anything. He doesn't look lost necessarily. He looks almost as if he was expecting you as the three of you jump through this foliage and you find him successfully.
Hero?
Hero?
Ah, hello. Sorry, I got a bit lost.
What do you? This far? We've been walking for 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Well, I thought I heard something during the fight.
What did you hear?
Well, it sounded like some sort of child's screaming.
Are you all right?
I think so.
What's so funny?
He follows a child screaming, but he was scared to go into a grown woman's cave with women screaming. But as a child, I don't understand the logic there. That's all. I think I would run much farther away from a child screaming than a full-grown woman screaming.
Well, I just sort of reacted.
Are you? But you're okay?
I think so, yes. I just kind of pat myself down.
All right. Well, we really should get back if we want. Are we gonna? I mean, now that we have time to talk, are we gonna go back with them or?
Yes, I think that we should.
19's just looking around.
I assume you were able to get away from that thing?
Drift actually. Drift killed it.
I'm sorry, what?
Drift killed it. Slayed it.
I have a last name now, Eero.
I look at Drift, and then I look at Rin, like a little bit like with a furrowed brow. I look at her like, really?
Yes, really. I'll have to tell you about it so you can add it to your story bank.
Yes. Yeah. But well done, Drift. It's quite good.
Do you want to hear my last name?
Sure. I suppose.
All right, but I need you to always call me this from now on. All of you guys.
Okay.
No more Drift. Not anymore. That's my old name. My new name. Drift Cursebreaker.
Very impressive. Did you give yourself this name?
No, that was from the captain. Captain and his team.
That's impressive. Well done.
So
Where are we?
before we change subjects, I want to make it very clear. When you refer to me, please use my last name as well.
Drift.
Nope.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you.
It's okay, but you've already failed. I am now Drift Cursebreaker.
I've never failed.
Rin's gonna reach over and just kind of like pat Drift on the back and say, "You did good, Cursebreaker. You did good."
Oh, I like the ring of that one. Oh, thanks, guys.
Also, you're very good at tracking him, by the way. I'll have you know.
Thank you. I spent a few years tracking some things.
We should head back. They were gonna leave before nightfall.
Yes, that is a good idea. I don't think I want to be out here at night.
Iro, are you sure you're okay?
Fine, let's go.
How pretty is this, Brad?
It's quite pretty.
Like the forest rim.
It's not like beyond like wildly, unbelievably gorgeous or anything. It looks to the three of you, not including Iridir, to be relatively standard woodland like you would find anywhere in Europe. And the sun is glinting through on this particular patch, hitting like a small stone that's just perfectly placed for where Iridir was sat. But like, it's not like, you know, you're not like looking at anything like magically awe-inspiring. It's okay. It's fine. To Iridir, there's an extra glow to everything here. There's almost like a slight dissonance, Iro, in this area. You're having a little bit of a time. Like, it looks a little shinier, a little more. It looks like there's a little more here than just your average woodland, but for the most part, it's pretty much just a standard wooded area.
I'm trying to walk like a little bit faster.
Hero,
Yes, it's this way. Let's go.
what were you doing
How do
before
you
we
exactly
arrived?
know which way to go?
I'm just following the way that you came. I think it was this way.
You okay?
What?
I run after him.
It seems weird.
Yeah. Go, Iro, slow down. Just chasing after him.
Maybe he's just embarrassed.
Assuming you guys want to retrace your steps, for the first time, I think, in my entire life, someone doesn't have the Outlander background, so they can't just do this via magical bullshit background means. Give me survival checks if you want to retrace the steps to return.
I'm following Iro right now.
Yep, sure. If you don't
So
want to
whatever
if you're not actively like trying to return the way you came, then just don't roll.
I'm just following him.
19, Iridir. Yeah, again, pretty easy. It's almost too easy to work out the way you came. The way that Drift found you was by following your tracks, and then the three of them just trudged through really without trying to not disturb any more earth.
There's
and
like an
trees.
arrow-shaped like carve out through a tree.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad. It'll take a while, but it's a pretty obvious return route, and the two of you can work it out relatively easily on a 13 and a 15 to just retrace your steps, and you do so, and eventually you can hear the river as well, and it's a lot easier to you just have to head for the river, and yeah, I'd say after like, I think it was about 10 minutes to get from the river to the cave anyway, so maybe about another 10 minutes, 20 minutes in total from where Iro was back to the river. You guys make it fine, safe. There's nothing jumps out at you, nothing crazy happens. Iro, the further you walk from that stone that you were sat on, the less kind of dissonance you feel. less kind of out of body experience you start to have for a little, like the lands around you start to return to kind of a realistic looking tree, as opposed to a tree with an ever so slight glow to it of some sort, almost just beyond your vision, a sense almost.
The whole time I've been walking like a little bit faster than normal, and like a little bit wide-eyed as I look around. I just kind of breathe like a heavy breath. And do I see the assembled captain?
You don't see the captain, and you don't see the others. But you make your way back to the river. Maybe around the area where you found that boot. You know where you found that boot? There was that boot lodged, and then they threw the boot to one side. The boot is gone, though. As you return to the sort of river side here, and you can return to town. I just wanted to check that you didn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, I wait up for the rest of them, yeah, I guess I just wait for them.
Can I do
I'm
something?
actually keeping up with you because I walk fairly quickly and I'm worried about you. So I am watching you.
Okay.
And Brad, can I just do something real quick before we go into town?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna tell the guy. Just gonna use the little boy's room real quick, right over here, and I'm gonna go just behind a tree, and I'm gonna pull that blood cloth that I had, and I'm going to sort of just wrap it around my fingers, and I'm gonna open my mouth, and just bite down, not bite down, but with my lips only, all around the blood,
And Attack on Titan.
and suck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And your world shifts and changes again.
Oh, why can't it just be chill?
You suck up the blood. This time the blood doesn't taste weird. It doesn't make you retch. It doesn't. It tastes kind of nice. It tastes kind of like candy. You know, it's not like there's the metallic sense to it for sure, but it's actually quite good. There's like a sugary sense to it as you sort of suck the blood off of this piece of tunic. You take a moment to kind of adjust, and you feel like a strange wave of I guess similar to Iro, this is weird dissonance. If you're concentrating, you'll notice that there'll be a bird in mid-flight which has stopped. You'll see that the breeze on the wind has stopped moving the canopy above you, and you'll hear that voice again which speaks to you and says,
There is great power in blood, Drift. Great power indeed. Prove yourself worthy of my power, and I shall share its greatness with you. I'll see you soon, I'm sure. Drift.
Yes, I'll see you soon.
The world kind of turns again, and this time you feel a little sickness. There's kind of like a vertigo kind of hits you. You feel like the ground is moving away from you quite quickly. Mm-hmm. That taste in your mouth that was quite sweet a second ago suddenly turns very sour. It's like you've drunk the blood from something very dead and old. It doesn't taste nice at all. It immediately makes you want to retch and vomit. Give me a Constitution saving throw.
God, dude, you describing that honestly almost made me throw up.
Yeah, that was some...
I feel a little sick. Here we go.
I imagine sour.
Oh crap, that's not my save, right?
Do you have any additions to your save? Because it could be your
Oh,
save.
if not, just add it.
Yeah, no, you don't. So that is a 4. You immediately start to retch. That taste of that thing is just disgusting. You retch, and then suddenly you vomit again. This time when you vomit, there's no blood, there's no sick. It's just like black ooze. It's like tar. You sick it up and it blocks your passage of your throat and you can't breathe for a moment and you just keep being sick. It's horrible. You stop for a moment, you feel your eyes bulging out your head as you choke on your own vomit, which isn't vomit. It pulls at your foot and you kind of hear somewhere beyond you just a laughter. The vomit stops. You suck in breath. Looking at your feet, this pool of black kind of ichor forms into a very strange shape. It becomes square and blocky. A book is made, which is your Book of Shadows.
Oh my God, Brad! Oh my God!
You feel that vertigo stop and change. You suddenly feel your bearings. There's a sense of the air changing around you again. That kind of sickness, that taste in your mouth goes very quickly. The sense that you're not quite with it goes very quickly, and you're grounded again. But that book looks very real at your feet. The birds above you continue to fly. You hear them. You hear the sound of the river running once again, and yeah, you have that Book of Shadows now
so I can pick it up and put it away.
For sure, yeah. Add it to your inventory. You have an actual book. You can kind of make it look how you want, but it will be black for sure in color.
Yeah.
The thing mechanically is that he got a pact boon and has the Book of Shadows, which gives him an extra 3 cantrips as long as he has that book on him. Also,
and I can resummon the book.
Just
anytime, but it takes an hour.
Just to clarify, time stopped like last time, so we didn't hear him retching?
No, you didn't hear any of that.
Okay.
As far as you're concerned, he probably hasn't even had enough time to pee yet if he comes straight back. You are also, it's not over yet, an initiate of the blood. Which means...
What is that?
I'll put it on your character sheet, actually. You're an initiate of the blood. In fact, I'll do it in a second. What it means is that once per day, you may drink the blood of a creature you killed yourself. You have to deliver the killing blow. And you can regain hit points equal to your warlock level plus charisma modifier.
What?
However, this causes your skin to itch terribly for 1 hour.
Okay.
All right? Okay. Initiate of the blood.
To get like a new tattoo.
No. Also, this whole time, by the way, Drift, everyone's eyes have looked bloodshot to you.
Yeah, I know that.
For the whole fucking thing, all this stuff. Like every time you've interacted with people, they look like they've had bloodshot eyes. That is now gone. If you go back, you'll see them. However, this is probably a good time to go to our break, I think. So we'll jump to the break there.
Dude, I need a moment.
3.
I need a moment.
That was so cool.
Level 3 Drift.
You actually got me sick. I'm not I'm fine now, but like I felt just by you describing it, I felt grossed out and like sick. Damn, dude.
Well, warlocks should be kind of fucked up, right? They should be kind of fucked up, and yeah. Well,
you would never think this warlock would be as fucked up as he is.
So
you're also a tiefling too. You're not just a warlock.
Yeah, he's also got that
so
demon's blood. So we're gonna jump to a break. We'll be a few minutes. On the break, I'm gonna play a little trailer for our other show, which is starting next Monday, called Sector 49. Do you want to give him a blurb, Whack, since you're running that?
Sure. If you guys want to check out a cool Judge Dredd in the Worlds of 2000 AD show, where the players will be playing as perps, then you need to check this out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be pretty crazy, and I'm so hyped to do a Judge Dredd show. I'm fucking ready, man. I'm ready.
also ready to be in it, and my character is the worst. The worst. Whack was crying, laughing when I
was laughing hard.
It's not a good thing. It's not in not a good way. I mean, he was laughing purely because of how much I was crying.
Because of his stupidity.
Because
I would
of
like
my
to
stupidity.
preface it with that.
Kind of, and also because of a dice roll that my character had to make.
Yeah, but I warned you ahead of time.
My character went from being like it went from being like a cool idea to just my character is now insane. So I'll run the trailer for that in a second. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back in a few minutes. Go grab yourselves a nice drink of blood.
I will. I really will.
everyone. You can
Rusty
thank me
poops.
later for sparing you Tiger Writer's poop talk.
No, I was curious about this fiber poop talk too.
No more
I'm
fiber
looking
poop
old.
talk.
Getting old. I was like, man, I could
No
probably use some
more
fiber powder. in my
fiber
life.
poop talk. Disgusting. You people are sick.
Brad's like, I live on the other
I
side
just
of the world.
grew
All my
up
poop
and
comes
created a
outside.
book and now shoved it in my bag. And
Yeah.
that's disgusting.
Yeah, because that's not real, whereas Tiger pooping fiber out everywhere is.
You poop fiber too. What? You don't eat fiber? And how does this get blamed on me?
He probably doesn't. He probably just
I'm
he
British,
just
we
drinks
don't poop.
Monster.
Fiber writer.
He's like the guys from like that episode of South Park where he poops out of his mouth.
I don't poop at
Fiber.
all. I live entirely off of hatred. That's all.
Fiber Rider is pretty good.
Fiber Writer.
Fiber Rider is actually really good.
Everyone go and
Weirdo.
subscribe
really
to
good.
Fiber Writer on
That'd be a
Twitch.
good bet. Turn my name to Fiber Rider for a couple months.
Fiber Rider. is
Go change
so
it on. Go
good.
change it on Twitter for 1 week. Welcome back,
Please do.
everybody, to
Change
the
it right
stream, where these guys are heading back to town. Assuming, do you guys just want to go back to town? Yeah.
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 I want to run into a ferry. I actually just had like that picture of a dog, you know, like a butterfly lands on a dog's face.
You can.
That's
just,
what I imagined would happen.
I mean, you can just go into the forest if you want instead.
No, fuck that.
By
I
yourself.
know better. I've played D&D with you enough.
Yeah. True. You can go into the forest though. Never be afraid to head
See, that's-
into.
Don't trip.
Never
is
be
the-
afraid to head into the forest. Tiger Rat. Okay, so you guys head along the river. You know, it's pretty easy walkings. You know where you're going. You follow the river around back to the bridge, and then back to the road, and then head past the couple of kind of burned farms that are by this river and into the burned town of Drit.
Drit. Yeah.
The sight that you are greeted with is practically the same. Like, nothing has really changed. Nothing crazy is going on. However, there are some new faces in town. There's a handful of soldiers that you didn't recognize that weren't here before. For the most part, they appear to be dressed in that same ranger garb that McKinnon, the young ranger that you met first, was dressed in. More leathers and green and brown hoods than big shining armor, chainmail, and big swords. They look pretty dirty and traveled, but the others do as well. And you can see that Captain Stonesworn, Mstride, and well, actually, Terran is not here. Terran and the boys seem to just not be here, but you can assume that they're in the area with the clerics. They were in a little stone thing. But the captain is speaking to an elven woman. She's got blonde hair and a single braid that kind of swings behind her calves as she walks. It's very long. Pretty obviously, you can see all this going on. I don't know if you want to like stride up to them or if you want to head back or stay back. There is those two carts still. For the most part, the handful of survivors, and I really mean handful, there's like 5, which are sat in one of the carts, and then there's the other cart which seems to have some supplies and things in. One of the fighters that was left here in town is tending to the supplies in that cart. Looks like he's tying them down, preparing to leave, and Ranger McKinnon appears to be dealing with the horses and the carts, the other cart with the people in. It looks like they're kind of preparing to go, but they're not, like, you know, heading out of town. Stonesworn is speaking to this elven looking woman with the long hair. What do you guys want to do?
Let's walk up to them. Walk up to the captain, I think, would be a good choice for the group.
Yeah.
If
So you stride on over. I think probably as soon as you head over, the captain. There was that table that they had kind of repurposed that had the map spread out. The map spread out on it. I don't know why I can't speak. The map spread out on it with a few things on there, like a couple of daggers which have been pinned into it. The elven ranger woman appears to just be striding up and down in front of it, though she's listing off some things as if she's talking to the captain. The captain is just stood, kind of arms crossed, listening to what she's saying. You probably walk in like halfway through this conversation. As you approach, you hear this elven woman saying, "We've discovered absolutely no tracks, no signs whatsoever of the invading mercenaries or the blood nectar outside the west of town. It seems like they didn't travel west, but, well, I suppose at least not without magical means. To cover a force this large would be a feat indeed, though. Even for an experienced mage. Has there truly been no other word from the other team?" And like as she turns around, she sees you guys walking over, and she kind of looks as if she's going to go for it. The captain turns back, nods at you guys, and ushers you over and turns back to her and says, "These are the ones that helped us find the page boys, the hunters. This one," and points up at you, 19, as you approach. He says, "This one is a cleric with some healing ability." And she nods at you and says, "Oh, right. Thank you for helping. My name is Yarler." She holds out her hand.
19 knows how to shake, right? But he still doesn't know his own strength. So he goes in for like the standard handshake he would give anybody. Very equal rights handshake, whether you're a lady or a man or whatever it is. He squeezes nice and tight.
All right. Give me an accidental athletics check.
I'll break her hand.
All right.
Don't.
I mean, I'm not trying to break her hand. This is on Brad.
I'm just hoping you fail this.
Nice.
Hoping you fail this.
You said you wanted to accidentally squeeze the hand.
Oh!
That's a crit. That's a crit. I think, isn't that, realistically, isn't it, first off, opposite day? So wouldn't that be fantastic if I got 22? Because that means I did my best not to break her hand, right?
No, you just said you don't know how hard
You don't
to
know.
do it.
You literally said, "I don't know how hard I'm squeezing."
I did.
So you rolled the strength check to see how hard you're squeezing.
So it is an opposite day, is what you're saying.
So you like she holds out a hand and like
It's a fucking good handshake,
you
all
grab-
right?
I'll say this though, she rolled pretty well. Hang on, let me see if she's got some extra
It's
bullshit.
like a violent Donald Trump handshake.
She does. You do
Pulls her
shoulder checker.
the Trump shake.
It's like a
At
hockey.
least he grabbed her hand.
And like squeeze down on her hand, and she kind of like she immediately reacts and like snatches her hand back and just ow, just what? Okay, right. You're very strong. You should really work on that.
What? I should work on what? I'm sorry. What did I do?
Your handshakes, are you recently kindled?
Yes.
I thought so. Yes, you've got to be careful when you're shaking hands. You've
Is her hand okay? And then he goes in and grabs her hand real lightly. Real lightly. And like caresses it and says, "I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Please forgive me."
She, all right, give me another strength with advantage, and you can. But this is opposite day. You take the higher
Oh God! Don't get
To
a
do-
one now.
to do
Don't
to
you
take
dare.
to control
With
it
advantage, you said, or disadvantage?
with advantage to control it. 16. The higher it is, you control it better. She rolls a 16 too. It's a perfect equal
Handshake.
grip. you grip her hand. She grips yours back. She's pretty strong, and she shakes your hand toughly. Now that you're closer to her, you can see that she's kind of battle hardened looking too, and she has an elven woodleaf tattoo on one of her cheeks. It's like a faded tattoo. It's green in color, but it denotes that she is from the deep woods. Like she's from like there are some tribal elves and stuff that don't really necessarily live in the towns and cities. They're very like cliche wood elf types that stay away. They're not even mapped on the map that they exist necessarily in like towns. And a lot of them come out and just live amongst people and stuff, but she seems to be one of these more deep elf or deep wood elves. And she grips your hand back and she kind of smiles, and she has like very animalistic teeth. She has like an extra couple of what are these ones? Canines. go back a little further, and even her front teeth are a little pointed. It's almost like a cat's teeth. And her nose comes down a little wider, kind of like a cat too. Kind of like a flat, wide nose, like a cat. And she sort of bares her teeth, and she says, "You know what? I like you, Warforged."
Thank you.
She says, "You can call me Zalera."
Zalera, I'm about to ask your name. My name is 19. And also, Brad, can I toss something in there? I rolled a 20 on acrobatics. I still have 3 things to choose for rolling a 20.
Why are you rolling in acrobatics? Oh, you rolled in acrobatics and not in athletics. I just realized.
I did, on accident. So if you don't want to do it, I completely understand it. I did. I rolled acrobatics twice.
What's the modifier difference?
Yeah, what's the difference?
1 modifier difference. I have a plus. There'd be 1 more in
Athletics as opposed to acrobatics.
Yep.
So he's got a +3. Is what he's saying instead of a +2.
So it would have just been it would have been 23. It still would have been a crit. So do you want to take that as one of your proficiencies? Bear in mind, remember that you might want to take some languages or tool proficiencies with this if you ever want to.
Oh, okay. So let me ask something.
Remember, you only have 5 in total, and make sure you're noting these down somewhere.
Yep, I have 2 of them used right now to 5. So the proficiencies are not just
the skills. If you want a proficiency, you don't have to take it, but if you want a proficiency in a language or a tool or something, you can say, "Oh, Brad, I'm going to get on that horse and I'm going to ride it to try and get a land vehicle horse proficiency, riding proficiency." If you want like a language proficiency, then I mean you can lawyer it in some way, but you know, like maybe you overheard Iridir speaking Sylvan. You can be like, "Do I understand what he's saying?" And we can roll to determine whether you get that proficiency as well. So bear in mind that it's not just your skill proficiencies that these 5 proficiencies count for. In your background, you would normally have a couple of languages or maybe some tool proficiencies too. And if you take all 5 skill proficiencies, that's fine, but you will literally only have language common and no tool proficiencies. And it's up to you how you want to do it. You know, you can
I didn't know. I thought it was just skills, so I'm good then. Yeah. Okay, thank you for explaining that to me and taking the time to.
But you can take athletics if you want.
Nope, I'm good. Getting back to that real quick, with her saying her name and everything.
Yeah.
Is she still holding my hand when she says her name?
She smile and looks at you and lets go of your hand. From behind you, you know that big Zangief dude, M-Stride? He immediately just goes, "Ugh, Yala, I can't even call you that." And she says, "Yeah, you're damn right you can't."
Lovers quarrel.
She bares her teeth in a grimace this time, and M-Stride says, "Never." Crosses his arms. The captain immediately just says, "Do you mind? We have more important things to deal with." He turns to each of you. By the way, the elven ranger will grab each of your hands and shake your hands as well if you offer it. She stands there, and the captain turns to the you lot as a group, and he says, "Well, this is my first group of rangers to return. We'll have to wait here for the others, but the carts will be leaving. We really want to be setting off before nightfall. If you'd like to join them, then feel free to do so."
I think that was our plan, but as he says that, I look back at her for a second. Are you coming on the road with them?
She shakes her head and says, No, I'll be staying here. "Who are you sending if Terran's not able to?" she says to the captain, and he turns and says, "Yes, I was thinking of sending Terran, Faber, Wilkes, and Grumnar, but I suppose I could send McKinnon in Terran's place, but I'm not sure if we can even spare her. The scouts might be more useful." The elf Zalera says, "No, I think you should probably send McKinnon. I don't think we're going to be able to track them. If they head back, we're going to need fighters, not rangers or scouts. I'd recommend maybe even keeping Gromnar back." Captain says, No, we'll have to send a couple of fighters on the road. Who knows where those orcs are? It'll be Faber, Wilkes, Gromnar, and McKinnon, for sure."
If I may interject a point.
Iridir, they found you.
I was
Good to see you.
yes. If I so I look at him and I say, oh yes. Did anyone tell you of the other child that I heard outside the cave?
They're all looking at you, and Captain says, I'm sorry. There was another child?
Oh yes, I heard a child screaming. I went to investigate during the fight. I was worried that we were going to be attacked on both fronts, or there was another one of your page boys that were missing. I went to go investigate in the woods. Went quite far off course, unfortunately.
Give me a deception check.
Can I? Yeah, I want to see if I know that he's lying.
All right, everyone can roll insight against this deception check if you would like.
I believe him.
That's an 8.
I believe him.
You just straight up believe him. 10.
Why is he gonna lie to me?
8 from Iridir, 10 on the
Sorry,
insight.
what did you ask us to roll?
Insight, please. Insight
Okay.
is sort of like body language and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just looking at my sheet for something silly. Oh yeah, I believe him.
That one. What is with your rolls today?
What is going on?
I feel like straight up like looking at Rin, she looks distracted as fuck today. I don't know what the hell's going on, but her mind is elsewhere.
She's still mad we went to the cave and stuff. She's still pissed.
For sure, Iridir is telling the truth, Rin. 19, you're a little suspicious of what he's saying. Why he would run off. Like, something doesn't quite fit. I don't think you outright be like, you are lying, sir. But something seems a little off with his story. The captain, Iridir, I feel like you don't even need to roll the insight check to see his eyebrow rise, like, up as high as it can go. And he says,
Just rises up to meet his hair.
yes, well, it's good that you should investigate such things. Perhaps we'll send a scout later. Anyway.
Well, as I was suggesting, the possibility we were interested in heading to Rosegard. I thought maybe if you were sending anyone, Ranger McKinnon would be a perfect sort of escort for us.
He says, "Oh, really? And why precisely do you believe that our Ranger McKinnon is the best escort?"
Well, I've had a chance to talk with her, and she seems quite capable. She's seems to know her stuff in regards to traveling and such. And I think if we didn't have a wonderful protector such as her, we could run into some trouble, especially if we run into these company of masks further.
Roll me another deception check.
Oh my god.
I assume.
It's not a persuasion check?
No, you're lying, aren't you? This isn't why you wanted to come with you.
25!
25!
Wow.
All right, one for the captain there, and then another for Zalera, who gets a little bonus. Hey, so both of them are a
little bonus, Brad.
a little confused for a moment as they both. Yours is which one of you has deception? Which one has persuasion? For your bullshit.
Mine. Yours.
Deception.
Yours is deception. So you have to deceive a person in power or whatever.
Yep.
The captain looks at you and is a little confused as to like what you could possibly know about McKinnon after this very small amount of time. Zalera, the elf, is interested in what you're saying as well, but she doesn't like. The captain is like disdainful of you at all times, whereas she is less so. But she doesn't know you or you haven't wound her up in some way, and so she's like kind of nodding her head along with you, kind of thing. The captain is a little quizzical, but they both kind of just. And she says, "That sounds fair to me. I mean, McKinnon's pretty handy with a bow. Not really much of a fighter, but she's a good tracker, a natural talent." And the captain says, "Yes.
So, thank you for your counsel, Iridir.
Anytime.
I feel like with your deception thing, you probably need to deceive them out of something important. Like, it needs to have more weight and bearing, I think. I think it's
a lot of weight and bearing in this situation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and also he was going to do it. He was going to do it anyway.
Wow, let's go.
Do it anyway. So, the captain turns to the general, because there's only about 7 extra people that have arrived. By the way, his entire platoon is only 25 people, so there's like a couple more. There's a little more of an army presence. A few of them, most of the newcomers are just sat down. They seem to be drinking from canteens or water skins or eating rations and just relaxing. And he shouts and waves towards the group and just says, "Faber, Wilkes, Gromnar." And they head up, and then he turns back towards the horses where McKinnon is and looks at Iridir, looks back. "McKinnon! Over." And they head over. So there are 3 fighters that head over. There's the 3 that are now Faber, Wilkes, and Gromnar. Gromnar is a dwarf. The other 2 are elves. Humans. Sorry. They're in like the same fighter's garb with the red cape and the chainmail. Gromnar, the dwarf, has a big maul thing, like a hammer. The other 2 seem to have long swords. And then McKinnon heads over, who's one of the scouts as well. She has the hood and the bow. So they stand to attention and line up in front of the captain. He says, "You will be accompanying the carts to Green Hill and the civilians. Once they've been safely seen, you should return here." And then he leans over the map and they kind of crowd round. He says, "If we're not here, we will be continuing into the Witten Woods," and he points at the general area on the map. "We're going to be continuing after the orcs. We must see to our job. If you can't find us, McKinnon, we'll rendezvous back here in 3 days. Is that understood?" And they, "Sir," he says, "right. Hop to it then, and good luck." They head back to the carts. The 3 fighters start to decide who's going to take what. The dwarf, "I'll take that one. I don't want to have to speak to anybody, so I'll take the goods." He wanders over and immediately jumps onto the cart with the stuff on it. The McKinnon, the younger ranger, says, "I'm not much with riding in these. I don't think I even know how to." And one of the other fighters, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll take that one." And he jumps up into the reins of the others. The other 2 kind of just stand to the side. There's not a lot of room on these carts. The one with all the belongings on seems to literally have some supplies, like some of the food that you supplied, and just salvage belongings that must belong to these people. You can just see like a couple of cases, just mismatched boxes and things, and then just like various things strewed about. They're all tied down and ready to go. The other cart has 5 people on it, and they're the ones that were kind of like beat up, bandaged around the head kind of thing, like burns, but nothing too bad, very soot covered and dirty, mostly kind of shell-shocked looking faces that stare out at you. And one of the fighters jumps up onto that cart. The other 2 wait. The captain turns back to you guys as a group and says, "Well, if you'll be heading with the carts, of course you'll be useful on the road. If they run into any sort of trouble, then if you wouldn't mind helping out, I'd be willing to pay you a little more gold to protect the cart, at least on the road to Green Hill. You don't need to take it into the town. I know you're heading to Rosegard, but at least protecting it insofar as most of the way to Green Hill, I'd be willing to part with a few gold pieces."
What do you think? I look at the rest of the group.
Well, I suppose we could. I am a bit exhausted.
Yeah,
I'm
me
not
too.
really in any state to protect anybody, I don't think.
How long is the travel there?
To Green Hill. So each of these hexes on here is roughly a day's travel walking at normal pace, right? So from Drit to Green Hill. So Green Hill's a little different. There's a little like separate road, yeah. That will be, depending on which way you go here, you would have to go an extra kind of half a day this way or an extra half a day that way to get out of that hex. But each one is only roughly about a day. It's really not a huge continent.
So we could sleep on the way is what I'm trying to find.
You're looking at about 5 days in total to get to Rosegard at normal travel.
So it's like
to get to Green Hill, it's like
2.5.
2 days is pretty much what they want from you, yeah.
And a long rest 8 hours, correct?
A long rest would be 8 hours, yeah. You don't have to go with this cart or anything. You know, you could stay here and rest and then just go on your own way or whatever. It's entirely up to you guys.
Well, my opinion is that he pulls out the bag at 25 gold. This is all I've got. And
Is that a lot?
not quite.
Sure.
Could be. You know, I think we should do it. It's on our way. We can help out, make a little money. You guys can all sleep for a little while, and I'll stay up and keep them company. But also, Eero,
Yes?
I would like to ask you a question at some point in time on our travel to Green Hill. Remind me, please.
Of course. No problem.
Yes.
Captain, I will try my best, but you can keep your gold.
All right. I appreciate that.
How much are we talking, Captain?
He kind of shakes his head and says, "Well, my men don't even get paid that much. It's been quite difficult since the war, of course, and not much gold going around. The most I could probably spare is another 15 gold for each head that protects the cart." The soldiers behind you are grumbling.
How much?
He says,
how much is a typical lift like that? Because normally we'd have to pay to hitch a ride.
Yeah, the cart that you were on when you were coming in, I think, I might be wrong, but I think he said it was like a gold per day. But that was the cart you were on, and by as far as I can tell, none of you understand gold very well, or like general trade prices and things. So I don't know if you don't know if you were being fleeced by stout boots or not. But
we paid about a gold per day.
I think you generally know that there isn't much gold going around. The whole country is practically still in a depression, like a post-war depression. There really isn't much gold going on. The whole Company of Masks thing has been born because they weren't paying their soldiers enough and stuff. So a lot of them turned to kind of mercenary work, and then some of those turned to banditry and stuff. It's kind of rife. It's pretty bad. Everyone's got like a brave smile on, and everything's great, and it's no longer a war-torn country. But the post-depression kind of lack of gold and payment and stuff that's especially coming from the kingdom for their soldiers is a little bit of like this kind of unspoken issue. So that is some of the reason that the men are grumbling around you, and also the captain looks a little uncomfortable about it. He also like probably doesn't have a lot of gold. Like you would probably know that. However, actually no, you don't know about gold, so I'm not going to tell you anymore. But you would know that just from being in and around the country kind of thing.
Well, the way that I see it, we each paid 1 gold piece per day to get here, or at least I did. So for us to get to Green Hill, it'd be about 12 gold. So I think that I think you should keep it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. What she said. You should definitely keep that.
I think for our services, we need to make sure that we are being taken care of. Will you feed them? How about that? I don't need to eat. But on the road, you'll keep us fed. We'll all work together. We'll all be safe. And you'll keep the gold.
He points at the cart with the supplies on it, and I think you can make out that there's like decent stores of water and food on there, including because you guys brought like a lot of cat steaks and gave them all over.
Yes, dude.
Did
they do anything with those? Did they like cook them?
Like some are being cooked and eaten right now by the guys that come back.
Hey!
And there are a few that seem to have been wrapped up and put on the on the cart. Like, they will spoil eventually, so it's good that they're being eaten quicker. I don't think anyone has the ability to like salt and like preserve them for now. Like, they're, again, everyone's a little on edge. You're still in this like, this thing exploded yesterday kind of situation. So they're not really like making camp necessarily. They've just got like a temporary setup here. And you're aware, like they said, that they're going to head out pretty much straight away when the other group comes back. So they're already kind of on it. He pats his pocket. You hear like a jingle of some coins, and he says, "I don't have much gold, but what I do have was supplied by the king to see to the men, but we were supplied a little more gold in the event that we need to hire outside help, and that is precisely why I was able to supply you with the right gold for your services. The food I appreciate, and I have given to some of my men, and there is plenty of stores and food provided for the road to Green Hill."
Very well.
I think it's fair to say we're in. Right, Ariel?
Sounds fair, Captain.
I think that's fine. So we're letting them keep their gold, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
The ride is
Yeah.
in trade.
Let them have it. They look like they are quite weary, and we appreciate the protection and such. So we'll do our part and help out.
Of course. Well, I suppose this is where we part ways. It has been an honor to serve with you. He kind of looks more towards Drift and 19 as he says it, and then looks back to Rin, and then glances at Iridir. And he says, "Should we meet again? We will be friends. Perhaps we could have a palaver over food and drinks and not this terrible war-torn town."
Well said, and we can exchange some stories.
He says,
We do base in Rosegard. If you are still there, do seek us out at the barracks.
Excellent. Thank you for all your help.
It's been a pleasure, Captain.
We likely shan't
Captain.
return for a long time, though. It'll be at least a month.
I don't know. I think you're all doing quite well. I suspect you'll be faster than you even expected.
Yes, of course. Well then, hop to it. And good luck.
Good luck.
he just turns from you.
I sort of like mock stand at attention, like just.
He's already turned away from you, and he's speaking to Zalera again, the elf. He says,
Right, about the others. Should we send out a scout team to find them, or entrust that they will return in time?
she's immediately like,
Not sure. It depends. I suppose they headed south, but I don't know precisely where they went, what they're doing. It could be difficult even to track them.
and they begin there speaking again. You guys heading over to the carts, or are you staying there? Doing anything
Yeah,
particular?
I'll head straight to the cart, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going
going
up.
up to the card too. Done
Right.
a move.
With
So-
the people on it.
I would like to do one thing before 19 goes to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go up and interrupt the captain, and why is my This is really just me looking for her name because I forgot it for some reason.
Zalera.
Lara wants to walk up between them and interrupt.
She's just there, like, I'm not sure it's a good idea. We're gonna track her.
Zalera,
Yes.
Captain.
Yes.
I would just like to say thank you for your kindness.
Are you addressing the elf or the captain?
Just me now.
The captain is just like watching this, and she says,
Of course. Remember, if you've only just been kindled, people, they can be ignorant to that sometimes, but I served with a few of your people, the Warforged, back in the war. I saw only the back end of it, but for the most part, as far as I'm concerned, all of your war heroes, even if you don't know it.
Well, good day. And he just turns and walks towards the cart.
She's just right. Good luck. She shakes her head. So I don't know what we're going to do about the. And she just immediately
Back into business.
The carts. So the cart with supplies has the dwarf on it, and if you're looking for places to sit, that doesn't look like there's anywhere on this cart at all. That one just has a dwarf on the front. He's sat, and he looks like he's about to hit these horses and go. He looks impatient, and he looks scary. He's got a big, thick beard, and that's all. You can barely see his little eyes peering out. The other cart has 5 people on it and space for 1 more to potentially sit. At the head of it is one of these other fighters, and then you've got McKinnon and the other fighter who are on the ground. They look like they're going to walk along the side of this cart anyway. This thing isn't going to speed off. Like, this is, you could easily walk beside it kind of thing, and that appears to be what they're going to be doing. As you approach, again, the people are kind of looking at you a little wide-eyed, but they don't say anything to you. They tend to seem pretty quiet. They vary in ages as well. Yeah, what do you guys want to do? Probably 1 space. You could probably fit one of you on the end of the cart with the survivors on.
I'll go for the survivors.
You want to sit on there?
Yeah, I want to sit on that cart, yeah.
Okay.
She breaks their necks one by one.
And she kills them.
Just kills them.
Wow.
As the cart goes into the sun, you just see her snapping necks.
It's
Yeah.
for the best.
The others kind of like, as you jump on, they just look at you, and I mean, for the most part, you guys, you don't look too militant. Like, the Warforged obviously looks extremely militant, but I think you guys are generally just in normal clothes and light armor, right? You're not in anything crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think they really pay you much mind. You sit on the back end of the cart. The others, they still have a lot of belongings and things in front of them. Each one has their own pack that they seem to have. There's a man and a woman huddled together at the far end of it. There's an elderly woman sat on the one end as well. There's another kind of just average looking dude, just kind of like an average middle-aged guy. And then in front of you, Rin, there's a probably quite young looking halfling. All halflings sometimes look a little young, sometimes, because they're small and sort of cherubish.
Okay.
But there's a halfling in front of you. Other than that, everybody is human. In fact, everyone, I think, except for the dwarf, you guys, and this halfling is human. But they don't say anything. They look at you a little wide-eyed, and you jump up on the back of the cart. The rest of you, I assume, are going to walk along.
Is there no other room on any other carts?
Doesn't look like it. Not without making it uncomfortable, at least.
I'm pretty small, Brad.
You are pretty small.
Can I try?
Where are you going to try?
Half a butt cheek on one cart.
Yeah. I'm just trying to rest a little bit, but maybe not.
I mean,
not the one that Rin was on. What's the other ones?
The other one is the supply cart with the dwarf at the front.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on the supplies.
Are you just jumping in, or are you like?
No. I'm gonna ask the dwarf if I can nuzzle in the back with the supplies and protect him.
He's not looking at you or
birds.
anything. Like, even when you walk up beside it, he's doing that thing where he's trying not to look at you.
Hey, sir. Hey, sir.
What?
Sir. Hey, I'm so sorry. How are you today?
I don't have time for this. What do you want?
Oh, I'm Drift Cursebreaker, and I just wanted to ask if you don't mind if I could I be on the back of the supplies and make sure no one takes them while we're riding along?
Give me a persuasion check with advantage.
Hell yes. This is my moment. Done. Oh my
A 7. He says, he says, Cursebreaker, You're the one, are you?
Oh, you've heard of me.
Hey, they're all talking about you. I'd like to let you up on me cart here, but I don't think you'll be able to fit.
I mean, I'm pretty small. I think I could.
Hey, I'm pretty small too.
Who's smaller?
You.
Exactly.
I think if you're trying to sit on this cart any more weight, it's gonna buckle the wheels, and then we'll be on the road for too long.
That's fine. No problem. Well, hey, you stay safe, and I'll be watching your cart, making sure nothing happens to you.
He looks left and right, and he leans down and pulls out a little something and throws it down to you.
What is this?
It's a fresh piece of cooked cat steak. He says, "Hey, that's my bit. That you can have it. That's for saving the captain."
I just literally just as I walk away.
The dwarf kind of looks over to the where the captain is, and he says, "Hey, we off then." The fighter who's at the head of the other cart kind of looks back, looks down at the other two. I guess 19 Iridir, you're nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
He looks down. He's just a normal human fighter, short, cropped, like black hair, and he says, "Right, so you're coming with us, are you?"
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you'll have to walk alongside the cart. No more room. This lot have had it hard. This one looks big and strong and all. He can carry you, right, eh? He can carry you, eh?
What's your name?
He says, name's Faber. Good to see
Faber.
good to see one of yous around. We ain't had one of yous in the platoon for a while.
I just kind of look at Eero. And then I just kind of keep walking, because I assume, are we already moving?
The dwarf kind of hits the horses on the left, and he sort of takes off and starts to head along the road back down towards where that bridge is. And he says, "Right then, we'll be off now, right? Everyone, hold on." He hits his horse, and the cart starts to trundle along. McKinnon and Wilkes are the other two, and they are walking along towards, like, along the side next to where you guys are. McKinnon isn't really saying much. She looks a little sullen, if anything. And the other guy just, like, he could be a carbon copy of the guy that's driving the cart. They just look the same. Just the same human dude, short cropped hair.
Is this one named Uriah?
This one is called,
May.
this one is called, Faber 2. So, I'll give you, alright, yeah. So, you guys
Wait, what's the
heading out.
name? I'm sorry.
You want the names?
Faber.
McKinnon, Fabers, Wilkes, and Gromnar. There you go. These are the fighters you've got with you.
Awesome.
I'm just making a note of who's doing what.
And
'cause I will
3
forget.
carts or 2?
2 carts.
Two
Green
carts.
is in the back of one. Supplies are in the other.
Great.
That is it.
Awesome.
So you're just walking along, yeah? Nothing. You're not doing anything
Walking
crazy.
along.
We're going.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
I'm probably just gonna be kind of tooling away on the loot, just like a really sort of pleasant tune that I'm just kind of noodling on as we're walking.
I'm gonna
Alright.
take my 4 hours rest if I can.
Yeah. Resting while walking along. I don't even know if it's possible.
She's in the
Well,
cart.
I'm in the cart.
Oh
so.
yeah, you're in the car. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like the others. Like I don't know if you can even do a rest when you're just walking along and doing nothing. No.
Don't think so.
That's why
Play-
I really wanted to get in the supply.
Play
I
away.
really want my level up so bad.
So the carts head out. The road is a road that you've been on before. You've been from Green Hill to Drit previously. You head along the over the bridge and start to head along the main road here, the King's Road. The King's Road makes it sound like it's a big, beautiful cobblestone built thing, but it's not. It's dirt. It's like it's obviously a road, but it's like overgrown in places. There's like a few rocks here and there to let you know what's going on. You even pass a couple of really basic wooden signs that let you know like kind of which direction to go. There does appear to be little things and downtrodden areas that suggest that there are other things nearby, maybe farms that live by themselves or something like that. But for the most part, this is just a standard, pretty simplistic road. As a civilization, it hasn't been long since like people started building houses and living and, you know, becoming an actual civilization. They're really like the Roseguard, some of these towns are pretty well made. And once you're in the city walls and stuff, there's some nice areas. But generally speaking, outside of it, it's still pretty wild and harsh. But you're on the King's Road, which was one of the first roads that they made to get around. The dirt is pretty thick, though. It's only been like 1 day since it was kind of raining for a week. So the mud underfoot is pretty... The sun has been shining this morning, so the general area is kind of dry. It's probably about 3 in the afternoon as you set out. The breeze is fine, the sun is shining, but the road is kind of muddy. So those of you that are walking, it's not the best, it's not the worst. You're kind of tired already. You guys really have not rested for a decent amount of time. And you're going into like the first day of travel here. Relatively unrested, so it's going to be real tough as you move into it. Rin, you get to straight up take a short rest. You can if you want risk it for a biscuit before I roll a dice here, because you could potentially get a long rest on this cart. I'm going to say
Song of Rest as well, so
I'm going to say that an hour has passed as you begin to head out on the first day. Like, pretty much the way I'm going to treat it is like this one is 1 day. This is 2 days. So the first day, you're going to end up on the far side of this hex, or in the middle of this hex. That is your 24-hour-ish, or like day. Like, that'll be midnight as you start to approach that, and then probably they'll set up a camp somewhere as they begin the travel. So... For travel, I'm going to roll like random encounters, like normal. If stuff happens, stuff happens. If you guys have some bonuses while traveling in this caravan, and you have some... I guess you have some bonuses, but you have a higher chance of being attacked because you're a caravan. Right. They know the carts and stuff have been getting attacked regularly. They always have done. Bandits, orcs, goblins, all sorts of shit. Fucking kobolds with illusionary scrolls and shit constantly attack carts on the road. So there's a higher chance of you encountering stuff like that. There's less chance of you encountering something wild like a fucking mountain cat or just random beasts and shit that will attack like a lone couple of people. You're like a big cart with a few armored people, so they generally will stay away from you. But you're more likely to be hit by banditry, generalized banditry things. However, you do also have a lot of extra sets of eyes and ears. So you'll get bonuses to your checks for that. So, I don't know if you want to do your short rest, or you want to...
No, she's asleep. She'll meditate. She'll risk it for a biscuit, as you said.
Okay,
Try to do
so
the
you
4 hours.
can do 4 hours. So I'll roll for what happens pretty much post the first hour here.
Oh, come on.
As you guys head out on the road. We'll say you probably left around 3. In fact, I'll write that you guys left at around 3 in the afternoon, because this is one thing that I'm always terrible at tracking. 3 p.m. left Drit. 4 p.m. dead. All right, let's see.
Oh my god.
Let me roll a dice. Let me roll a dice here. What a wonderful day it's been.
Ah, yes.
You guys.
What a beautiful day.
What a wonderful day.
Sun is shining. Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. If I give you your 4 hours straight up, you can take your long rest. So, by the time the sun is ever so slightly starting to set, maybe we'll say maybe it's like 8 p.m. It's been 5 hours. You notice that the sun is beginning to set, but you also know that you've made a decent way away from Drit. The idea is that you arrive at Green Hill kind of tomorrow night. So you got a little head start, and you hear as the sun begins to set, maybe 8 p.m. The soldiers haven't really spoken to each other too much, but it's not in a cold way. It's just that they seem like they travel a lot together, and walking and talking just is whatever. They sing and they whistle every now and then, like they'll just chime in with something that Iridir is playing if they recognize it, or they'll just make up their own thing or hum and sing along kind of thing. They seem relatively well traveled, and for the most part they all seem to understand each other's songs, and they all know the same songs but don't know other songs and stuff. Eventually the two caravan heads look to each other and say, the human says to the dwarf, what are we gonna do then? Rest overnight or travel through? The dwarf says, I'm thinking we need to rest. We need to set up camp. We've got people to look after, hasn't it? Right, yeah. Okay, so we'll find somewhere to set up a camp. We'll rest, and then we'll set off. I reckon we can make it there by tomorrow night, before nightfall. Hey, yeah, that's right, that sounds good. Next available spot, then we'll set up camp. Right, we'll look for it. If you guys want to help them look
Yes.
for a nice, easily defensible spot to set up camp for the night, give me perception checks. Or, if you want, survival checks, whichever will be fine, actually.
I will do survival.
14 from Rin, 15 from Iridir.
There's a point where McKinnon just runs off ahead. McKinnon runs off ahead at one point, just naturally, and just starts scouting ahead. I'll scout ahead, she says, and runs off. So we got a 14 from Rin, a 15 from Iridir, and Drift with the 10. Are you not rolling 19?
I don't really want to. I'm going to.
Okay. You can do survival or perception, it's whatever. They're surely both quite good for you.
That was way better than perception for some reason.
You're proficient.
13.
A 13. All right. So Iridir, incredibly, Iridir, out of all of the people, McKinnon comes back and starts speaking to the other two. She says, "Just up ahead, there's a plateau that we might be able to." Iridir, you've seen it. You've seen the plateau. You can see it from here. You know exactly that it would be the best, most defensible place. You'd be able to see around you, but you'd also be able to use the rocky parts on top of the plateau to hide any campfires. It'll be a pretty good place to set up. She immediately just...
I sort of like chime in. I said, "Oh yes, the plateau up ahead with the rocky outcroppings. That would be a wonderful place if we wanted to hide our campfires."
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. Have you ever done any scouting
amazing.
yourself?
Well, I don't like to brag, but I will say that I feel like we're of the same mind. It's a little eerie.
Yes, well, I have really good eyes, and I've been trained to look for these things, and well, your eyes must be amazing. I can barely even see the outcropping from here.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
Oh, I had to
You
run
are
up ahead.
extremely skilled.
Well, I suppose they did say that I was sort of a natural. Okay, well, I think we should probably stop up ahead on that. I'm not sure if we can get the carts up there, but we can have to see when we
Do you
get
need
there.
any help with anything?
She looks at you and says, "In what sense?"
Well, anything.
Oh, well, no. Thank you.
Anytime.
And she. You mean an insight check? Or a perception check? She blushes and runs away.
She blushes.
She blushes and runs away. The carts stop up ahead. They find this plateau. There is actually a way around that will bring the carts up onto this kind of plateau. It's pretty good. I rolled pretty well for like a decent place to stop. You find this kind of slightly raised area, but it is also partially protected by like a hillock and some rocky outcroppings, some bushes that would allow you to bring the carts in and stay relatively well hidden. Also, being up on a thing with light from a campfire overnight can sometimes draw in the bad guys. The army dudes generally just get to work. They just seem to just be doing everything on autopilot. They're like tying up the horses, feeding them. They help the survivors down. They find the supplies that the survivors need for their bedrolls, and they set up 2 tents for the survivors to sit in and beside. And then they get to work setting up a campfire. Presuming you guys are just generally helping out, you can, or you can just fuck them off and just sit down. Generally speaking, they begin to set up a small camp here for overnight. Do you have your own tents and stuff to stay in, or do you just have like equipment, like sleeping equipment?
I think I just have a bedroll. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not really sure what you guys have, honestly.
I'm checking.
I don't have anything.
So I'm pulling out my wrecked bedroll that I use to basically assist with the keys.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm just looking at it and I'm like sighing loudly.
Would an explorer pack have a bedroll in it? No, it would say bedroll, right?
I think all the backpacks come with bedrolls.
I think basically everything has a bedroll.
Oh, great.
Whether you have a tent or not.
If you hover over the item name in the equipment, there's like a little tiny dot at the lower right. You can click that and it'll give you the list.
Oh, great.
Okay, so what do you have?
I don't have a bedroll. I thought I did.
You don't even have a bedroll?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a bed though. I've done this before.
You'll make a bed.
I mean, it won't be a full-on bed, but it'll do.
Out of what?
Sticks and leaves.
Okay, you can give me a survival check. Are you proficient in survival?
You know it.
You can give me a survival check.
Oh God.
Yeah,
It's a 9.
You make a bed out of sticks and leaves that is about as good as a bed out of sticks and leaves as like I might make. How
warm is it outside? Is it warm?
It's not bad, but it's autumn. You're in like the first week of September, kind of maybe would translate to our time. So it's the real heat of summer is gone, but it's not really quite cold yet. But at night it's starting to get pretty cold. The last week up until today has been relatively cold and drizzly, but today has been pretty warm.
Okay.
So you know that overnight it'll probably get kind of cold.
Okay. So Rin sees you trying to make a bedroll out of leaves and sticks, and she'll actually take off her monk robes and bring them over to you, and she'll just like lay them down. And she'll just lay them down and say, the Cursebreaker deserves a very comfy bed.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Are you sure? I'm gonna get them dirty, probably on the ground here.
It's fine. There's a fire going, and I've already slept and rested. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams to you.
Everyone else has a bedroll.
Cuddle up on.
The army dudes set up a small tent as well, and they set up their own watch. They're doing the thing that like you guys would normally do, where they sort of like one is going to watch for a little while, the other one will watch for a little while, the next one will watch for a little while. Out of the 4 of them, They set up brap, and blap. So that is the order of their watch. It seems like, yeah.
So yeah, I my bedroll is kind of ruined. I think I would have. I think I probably would have went up to one of the other... No.
Which one?
I would have went up to one of the caravan like drivers, and I would have said, "Excuse me, it appears that my bedroll seems to have been rather damaged. Is there any extra supplies by chance that we might be able to use?"
He looks at you and says, "Oh, you didn't bring a bedroll?"
"No, I brought one. It was unfortunately damaged in some of our encounters."
Right, well...
The fire. The Darkfire.
He says, I suppose I can look through the supplies, but for the most part, that stuff belongs to the survivors. It ain't ours. We've got our basic stuff that we're traveling with. You might be able to ask one of them. And he looks over at the absolutely horrified survivors who are just refugees at this point, who just look terrified and sad.
Yeah,
and,
so I look at them and I say, "Don't worry, it's no bother. I'll find something else."
He says, we'll only be here for a few hours, you know. Before the sun comes up, we'll probably set off again.
Fair enough. We've just had a relatively difficult day, as all of you, I'm sure, have had as well. I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier. Not a problem. Thank you.
Give me a charisma check with disadvantage.
Let's go. Get it, buddy.
16.
Hey!
He kind of nods his head and then he goes, well, I'm taking first watch, right? With McKinnon. So if you want, you can just cotch up in my sleeping bag if you want. I'll be honest with you though, it stinks bloody rotten.
Listen, I have a better idea. I'll stay up for first watch. You get the rest now. You've had a rough day too.
Right. Well, we've already drawn straws for it, mate.
Listen, and I lean in sort of conspiratorially, and I say, You can trust me. I've you see that fellow over there? And I point to Drift. And I say, "Do you know who that is?"
That one's the Cursebreaker.
Oh yes, he's a good friend of mine. Now,
Right.
do you think Drift Cursebreaker himself would associate himself with, well, someone that's not capable?
Using my name, you bastard.
He like looks at Drift and then looks back at you and goes, "Well, I mean, he's just a brave kid. It's not like he's some accomplished warrior."
Oh no. I think you missed the entirety of that story. He's quite the hero.
Well, I mean, M. Stride did seem a little weird when he was telling me what happened. He said that it was Drift what ran in and was shooting off all these magical spells or whatever. But it was really M. Stride what got the finishing blow.
Oh, listen. I can tell you, with all certainty, being there myself, that if Drift wasn't there, we'd all be dead.
Your deception check.
Please.
But he did do the finishing blow, didn't he?
Drift.
No, I didn't.
Was
Oh,
it
okay.
not you?
I thought you did.
Oh my
I think,
God.
damn, a 24 on your perception.
No, it was the
deception.
Captain and McKinnon who did the final.
Are you sure? Because I can't remember.
Almost positive. Almost
Oh,
positive.
you did now because this deception check was so.
Someone,
Yep.
someone will
Yeah,
tell
to
me.
this party, this group.
Someone will tell me in the VOD for the thingy. He says he looks at you and then looks up and says, "All right, well, Well, brave kid then, isn't he? I suppose. I mean...
Listen, let me do you a favor tonight. I'll take first watch. My bedroll is destroyed anyway, so I'll figure something else out. You rest. We need you, people like you, to really be on the ball. Caravan drivers really don't get enough credit.
He says, I'm not really a caravan driver, I'm just doing it just 'cause of this, really, but...
Oh, of course.
I mean... If you can convince Grobnar to take my watch, then you got yourself a deal. Because to be honest with you, I'm pretty fucking tired.
Listen, I didn't want to say anything, but...
He points at the dwarf who's already asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say, no problem. I'll speak with Gromnar, and we'll get everything straightened out.
All right, yeah. And he just stands there, and he looks at Drift. All right. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'd probably like head on over near Gromnar, and
he's the dwarf, but he's not in the tent. He's just like on his back. The other human dude that was there walking along with you guys, Faber, is the one in the tent asleep, and he's just out on his bedroll, belly, gut, just nothing but beard, and just snoring instantly.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast Minor Illusion, and I'm gonna make a sound.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna mimic the sound of that cat right next to Gromnar's ear.
The cat.
That Frady cat.
Oh, the saber-tooth fucking
God.
tiger thing. Right, yeah. Okay, so you're going to mimic that sound next to his ear.
Yeah, right next to his ear.
Okay, that fucking sound goes off. It's fucking loud. So fucking wakes up everyone else as well. The sound goes... No? I mean, I don't know how you would control... Can you control where it goes?
Yeah, exactly. It's... Hold on, I'll spam the spell. You create a sound. Its volume can range from a whisper to a scream. It can be your voice or someone else's voice, a lion's roar, beating a drum, blah, 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 blah. Sound continues unabated through the duration, or you can make discrete sounds at different times before the spell ends. So I'm just going to kind of like make it sound like it's running off, like into the distance.
Okay. All right. This goes off. Gromnar doesn't wake up. He just...
Oh, bloody hell. I just say it under my breath. Everybody else is freaking out.
Yeah.
I cross my arms and I kind of tap my chin. And
I'd like to wander over.
Yeah.
Can I just say during this, I am like approaching the survivors and I'm making everybody tea because I'm wide awake. I'm at the campfire. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get
And
that in
I
there.
just want to say I was sound asleep, and as soon as I smell that tea, I wake up. So I
You're
have not
sat
yet
with the survivors, just...
Yeah, I'm just
waiting.
like, oh, tea? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
19 walks over. Hero. Kind of like whispering because people are sleeping.
I'm like deep in thought. I'm barely noticing 19 approaching. And I'm sort of like tapping my chin.
What are
You
you?
actually probably have to like touch my shoulder to get my attention.
I kind of reach over and kind of like squeeze his shoulder a little bit. Sorry. Are you all right? What are you? You're pondering quite deep. What's going on? Can I
Well,
help you if you need something? You seem very deep in thought.
thank you for your concern. It's most appreciated, 19. You are, as always, a very stalwart companion.
Well, what
I-
are you
I
doing
just-
over here?
I sort of like tap him on the shoulder, like, well, it's been a trying few days, of course. We've all been through quite the experience. I'm just sort of contemplating the best way to proceed.
So you're just thinking.
Yes?
I was thinking a lot too. May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Well,
anytime.
earlier today, well, what time it was? It's very dark now. You were... When I was with John at the farm, he had a wife. And they loved each other dearly. They flirted a lot. I was meant to be understood what flirting was and how that worked. And I've noticed recently you have been doing some of the things that I've seen John do with his wife before, with that, what was her name again? You know who I'm speaking of?
I think her name was Esther.
Esther. Well, Esther?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I was guessing.
I've just noticed you seem like you know how to speak to other people. I've noticed it, and I
Well, thank you.
was just curious. You seem to have taken a liking to someone recently, it seems. Am I wrong?
Yes.
I am wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
Oh.
I've taken a liking to someone, yes.
I noticed, and I'm just trying to understand. When I was speaking to, you kind of see him, like, really looking like... This is, like, the first time you've seen 19, like, a little, like, really confused, like, almost looks confused. When I was speaking with Zalera and she grabbed my hand, I had a feeling I've never had before. And I'm not quite sure how to handle it or what to do with it.
Oh.
Aww.
That's interesting. How did it make you feel? Can you describe it?
It made me feel soft. It made me feel cared about. If that makes any sense, it was quite strange. It confused me. And I'm asking you because you seem to be... You remind me a lot sometimes of how John had treated his wife, the way you speak with people of the opposite sex, it would seem. I have no sex, so I'm not quite sure how I should go about anything that I feel.
Well, I'm not really partial either way, but what I can tell you is that you probably had some sort of... If you are sort of built the same... if you...
Yes?
If you sort of think and feel emotions the same way that we do, you probably have established some sort of connection with this person.
Connection?
Yes, a sort of understanding. Sometimes when you speak with someone, you share your emotions or feelings, they express feelings or emotions or speak with you in a way that resonates with your thinking, and you can build upon it and create a relationship. Some are physical, some are emotional, some are based on, well, pure instinct. But it sounds as if you've developed some sort of connection with this person.
I've never had anything like this before. Yes, I've experienced a lot of feelings since becoming kindled, yes, but I'm not always sure how to handle them.
Well, from what I can tell you, one of the best ways to handle your feelings is to speak to friends. And I just kind of I pat him on the shoulder and I say, which you can count me as one of your friends. I think that speaking to your friends is a wonderful way to try and figure out your feelings. I'd be happy to help you. If you are interested in pursuing some sort of relationship with this person, perhaps we can find them out in the future. After
What do you mean by relationship, though? I'm very honest with you. I'm not quite sure how to feel about what happened. I've never felt that before. And when you say relationship, I mean, we have a relationship, myself and you. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Well, there are different kinds. You can figure out what sort of relationship it is by speaking with the person that you're interested in and trying to learn more about them, the way that they feel. One of the best ways to do that is, some people prefer a very direct approach. Some people prefer a bit of casual conversation. It really takes experience to figure out the best way in approaching someone in general.
I take it you couldn't wake him up then. Behind you is Faber, the other guard. He's right next to your ear, Iridir, and he just says, no, I could never wake him up neither. And he sits down between the two of you and says, don't worry about it, mate. I've got to get on with the watch then. So, listen, if you want to stay in my sleeping bag, you can. It's in there next to
Hold on, you're
Faber.
trying to wake the dwarf up.
Well,
Well, I can do that. I want to go over and straight just shake the dwarf awake.
Oh my god.
And that's where we're going to end today's session.
And I think you just kind of hear me say, I take it that he's going for the direct approach.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my
Listen, I just want to have more friends, Hero.
Okay. That is where we end today's session. Thank you very much for
God
playing.
damn it.
That was so unexpected to end the session right there.
Such a random cliffhanger.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for playing.
By the way, Chad, if you're curious why the cliffhanger was there, Brad was forced to maybe have the inkling of a feeling. That's why he was.
No, I didn't move away. When I was moving away, right? Everyone was typing in the chat, Brad felt a feeling and he was moving away. No, I was actually going to have the dude interrupt from away. I was about to go, so you couldn't wake him up. And then I thought, oh no, I quite like this little bit. I'm just going to let it carry on a little longer. And I came back in. So that's what happened there. You think I felt a feeling? Get out of here. Get out of here. So,
He had to say it twice.
good session, peeps. Unfortunately, this is just, we're at the mark. That's really what happened. It's time to go.
I could now that I don't stream afterward, I could go forever.
It's
Brad can. He's exhausted.
yeah. John sent me a message on Discord and was like, if we don't end the session right now, I'm gonna find you, motherfucker.
I did not take that back.
He actually messaged me and let me know that John just threatened his life, and
Insight check,
quiet. But
everyone.
Wow, I'll go for another 30 right now.
Well, I don't care.
you tell that to your wife.
Oh my god.
So,
I only got a 10 on my insight check.
it's
Oh my
no, it seemed like a good place. It seemed like a good place to end it. To be
No,
honest.
it is.
It seemed like a good place to end it. You're waking up a very grumpy dwarf. He's also a dwarf.
How big is he compared to me? Just out of curiosity, real quick. Like how short is this dwarf for being a dwarf?
He's a dwarf. He's like 5 foot or whatever, probably less.
Oh god.
He's only small, but he looks old and battle hardened. That's the problem.
Punch me. He's gonna
Is
punch
there-
right in the middle.
Yeah, he might be very strong. We just don't know. Find out next time.
Just imagine my character flying like a cartoon.
Thanks for playing, players. It's been a fun session again. Y'all, we'll see you next week, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I know there's a TwitchCon coming up, but is that when is that?
It's not gonna mess with anything.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, okay.
Nope.
Great.
It's Thursday to like Sunday or Monday. So
Great.
honestly, Tuesday for a show is like one of the best days you can choose.
Best day ever. We'll see you next week, everybody. Let's do a quick round of shout outs then. We'll start with PB, because she's probably going to want to let you guys know about what's going on. What's going
This
on?
Saturday. This Saturday.
This Saturday.
Well, also before that, though, I'll be here on Friday for Identity Crisis. But then on Saturday, I'm going to be jamming a horror story at 4 p.m. EDT.
Yeah,
so be there.
baby.
Do
please,
not
please.
miss it. It's going to be
It's gonna be
really
awesome.
weird.
Yeah, it's going to be really weird.
I've never role-played myself before.
Oh, look, Mr. Giggles is in the chat. Hello.
Mr. Giggles!
Wait, that's
In
a
the
real.
chat.
I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a made-up character the whole time.
No.
No, it is sort of a joke because it's Murgles, but
But if
everybody
you look at it,
gets
it's
the
like
name
Mr.
wrong by
Giggles.
saying
Why?
Mr.
I
Giggles.
get it.
Yeah.
I know.
I got you.
Just change your name
I
to
got
Mr.
you.
Giggle.
Mr.
No.
Giggles, myself, Wax, Steven, and Jay will be playing ourselves, except for Mr. Giggles, because she's called Mr. Giggles, which isn't herself. And PB will be running Stygian Gate. So make sure you check that out. Don't worry, that will be a VOD and everything as well if you're a VOD watcher. But it's on Saturday.
But you should be there.
But we expect you to be there. Cool. Also, check out PB's actual channel, Pumpkinberry. She does Twitch streams, and they're good. Mr. 19, 19 versus Dwarf. Place your bets in our Discord channel.
Please
while
do,
you
actually.
can. Where can people find you on a day-to-day basis, Mr. Tiger Rider?
I'm Tiger Rider. Thanks for coming out and watching our show. I really love doing D&D. I was actually talking about D&D last night a shit ton. I was talking about how like I just want to do more of it. But I stream. My schedule's a little wonky right now, but I technically am changing it, so I'll be taking off Mondays and Tuesdays. So no more streams right after D&D anymore. I'll be streaming Wednesday through Sunday. This week's a little different. I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll be off Thursday. I'll be on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is a little confusing. So just go follow my Twitch, and if you see it go live, that's the best way to put it for this week. But thank you guys for watching. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram if you want to check those out. And thanks for coming out, because I really like playing 19. And also, real quick shout out. Thanks, Whack, for that last RP moment there. That was really good, really fun.
No problem, dude.
Very nice. Somebody else who got a lovely RP moment, trying to get on a cart with a dwarf.
Or a book of blood.
I really thought I was gonna be able to pull that off.
And the Book of Blood was really where I was going for.
Yeah.
Mr. Level 3 himself.
Yeah.
Mr.
Finally gonna be level 3.
Cursebreaker, the
Mr.
Cursebreaker.
New spell,
Mr.
3
Cursebreaker. New
new
name. New book. New spells. New
New
name.
life, new person.
New
I'm gonna be
life, new
honestly, my
person.
character's changing so much next week. You guys are fucked. Nah, everything will be normal. Just scare everyone. I just become a total dickhead. Yeah, I stream John Sandman, twitch.tv/John Sandman, or John Sandman TV on Twitter if you want to say hello and tell me about the decisions that I made that were good or bad in the show. I love that shit. So thank you guys for watching as always. And yeah, back to you, Brad.
John Sandman. Well, instead, I'll pass the microphone to Mr. Wax Steven, if that is your real name,
It's not.
which it's not. Huh?
Thanks everybody for watching. As always, we appreciate you for hanging out and watching us be silly, different characters. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for being here. Thanks for talking. Thanks for flipping out on Discord, which you should definitely go hang out on if you have not done so yet. Go hang out on the Tablestory Discord. Especially go check out the Stygian Gate Discord stuff, because it might be blowing up a little bit.
I love you.
I'm just saying, we probably, you guys probably crashed the shit out of PB's website like 50 times. I don't know. It was a lot.
And my DMs. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate the support.
Stop sending her DMs. Like, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with people? She doesn't care about you. She's just nice.
She's just nice on screen.
Thank you for watching. And be sure to check out, we've got Ragtags on Thursday. Identity Crisis on Friday is going to be really crazy. So you should definitely check that out.
What are you doing?
Saturday we've got Stygian Gate, and Sunday we've got Spark of Eternity. And Monday, we've got the premiere of Sector 49, which Brad will probably show the trailer again for you after we're done here.
Hecker,
Check it out.
yes.
Judge Dredd, it's going to be crazy. The players are criminals.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be dope.
I'm
Check it out.
very excited to play that. We made our characters offline yesterday, and everyone's character is great, except mine. So, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Don't forget to check out our Discord and our Patreons and stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff on there. Remember, this month there's all the Darkfire stuff, including the Infeared from last week and the sort of fire dungeon from the opening few episodes. So there's a bunch of Darkfire stuff on there, right?
I'm gonna frantically get that put up this week.
I mean, it's gonna show up. It will show up at some point. That's how Patreon works, though. It's crazy. It's just like, here's an email with your stuff. Like, cool, thanks very much, Patreon. It's a weird system, but you get good stuff on our Patreon. I promise. I promise. Don't forget to check out all of these wonderful people, and I'll see you next time for what can only be described as